Good evening, welcome to Poker Night Live, a sexy internet poker show with sexy real stakes poker and a couple of presenters. Tonight it's me, Dr. Tom, and Mr. Mark Banin in the studio. Don't forget you can text or email us here live in the studio, so why not get out your mobile phone and start texting. There it is, text poker and your poker question to 84222, or you can use your personal computer. There's the email address, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, Mr. Banin, how would you like to take us round our tables?
Yes, why don't I do just that? First of all, on one, we have a $5 sit-and-go table. When I say a sit-and-go, it's a little tournament, 8-handed tournament. As you can see, there's two players already knocked out there. So, and that's only just started, and there's already 2 players knocked out. Well, they're going hell for leather there, aren't they?
You got hit the bong. You may well have done that.
Let's just stay with this table just for a second, just to see what happens here. Kings against ace-queen. Will we see a third departure?
Go on, call him.
He's tempted, isn't he? He's very tempted.
Come on, what is he? Kind of kings or aces or ace king?
You wouldn't have thought so, would you?
Scared
Going all
Jack
in.
10 suited, he must have. Oh, he's called him.
Well, well, he can get a 10 to win this one, as well as an ace. 10 or an ace is required? No, he doesn't hit it.
What a player.
So there you go, these doubles up there. Well, it's a nice table to have a look at. Anyway, this one is a, table 2 is also a sit and go. This one is a $10 sit and go. And this one is a slightly longer structure. We can see these players actually get 2,000 chips in front of them, as opposed to the 1,000 on the other table. So it means there's a lot more play. And that one's just kicked off. On table 3 is a little cash game. It's a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. Maximum bind for this one is $50, and minimum bind is $5. Pretty full there, and looks like a lot of those players have only just sat down. They're all pretty close to the starting stack of 50. And our final table this evening is the green table, and as you know, that only means one thing, and that's the multi-table tournament. And here we have a multi-table tournament with a difference, because this one's actually got $2,000 added. So it's a lovely tournament to be got in, and the great thing about it is, Tom, is only 115 entrants.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
So that's not bad for your money, is it?
It's triple what you're in.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty close to triple. Yeah, absolutely.
I wish I was
So should be nice, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Not to be today.
Not to be today.
Not
no.
for us, anyway.
There you go. As you can see, it's all live. It's all real stakes poker. You've got the expert commentary, of course. That's us, in case you were wondering.
I was wondering, actually.
Yeah, no, they'll be along in a minute. But
Okay.
until they arrive, you'll have to make do with us. But let's get down to their multi-table now and see how that aces and kings coup worked out. Let's have a look at it, because I think we've got it in the deep freeze. Aces versus kings. Oh, look at that. And on the river, or rather on the turn,
He hits that flush, doesn't he?
How Not To says, justice is done.
Yeah. No, because Miss Votovova's got the house.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well spotted.
So
That's
house
rude.
beats the nut flush there. Gosh, what a big hand. What a huge hand. And even Coco's got the 9 flush, so and he was
last.
drawing as dead as can be. So, yeah.
That's an evil hand.
Isn't it? Isn't it just? Gosh. So won it on the turn and lost it on the river.
See, we promised you sexy poker and a couple of presenters, and there it was.
Well, that Miss Vot is definitely one of those lucky players.
There's no such thing as a lucky player, you know that, Mike. There's only good players that people don't understand.
So let's have a look what semblance of hands we've got here. Ace-5 suited. He decided to come in for the minimum, which at the moment the blinds are 5,100, so he's coming for that 100. I think I would have preferred a little bet there if he's going to come in with it, but I don't think he can afford to just call for 5% of his stack, but he's done it. And hopefully he's realised that he's ahead now. A little bit worrying with that jack appearing there. Might give... they're quite content to check this one down, but Rookie's had enough. He says, I think I've probably got the lead here anyway. And he was right. And it's a shame Charlie didn't do the same thing. He would have got it too.
82 runners left in this comp, and they're on 11 tables.
Oh, look at this, Tom. We saw aces a minute ago, and now Vot's got the 7-8.
Oh my God. Careful. Oh, What a great fold.
Vot, what are you doing? What are you doing, Vot?
What are you doing, Miss Votavova? Should we go and have a look at the chip leader before we see Votavova win with 10-3? I don't know if I can cope with it. Here we go through the matrix. Well, who do you think it is? Do you think it's Carados?
What, the chip leader here? It looks like it might be, yeah. Carados has certainly got a few there, hasn't he? Gosh, he's got 90 times a big blind, which at this stage of the tournament is huge. So he's pretty happy with his day's work so far, but long way to go in this tournament. We've still got over 80 players left, and when there's 80 players left and only 10 places, no, it's actually 32 places get paid, which is also incredible for 115 entries. So that's
1 in 3 get paid.
Yeah, so they're certainly enticing people to come and play. They're basically saying if you can get into the top 3, sorry, into the top 30%, you generally you're going to get paid. Wow, what a tournament! Very nice indeed. Blinds rise every 12 minutes in this particular tournament. Each player started off with, I think, was it 2,000 chips, Tom? Yeah, it was. So they've each started with 2,000 chips, and Carados is flying at the moment. Well, I like this bet by Petronius. He realises that he's only got one scare card there, the king. He wants to find out where he's at, and the only way he's going to find out where he's at is if he's the one that comes out betting. Now, Pillman there has got the German Virgins.
9-9.
Yeah.
Ah, very good.
You got that, aren't you?
No, it's new on me, that one.
9-9. King 10. What's he going to do? He's got 3,000 chips.
Oh, he's going to muck it, Mark.
Yeah, he's got too many players behind him, hasn't he?
Oh, your main neck is limped.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No, I don't like the limp.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'd rather you put in a raise if you're going to do that. The bets, let's say 300, something along those lines.
I like it better than Carados' limp, though. On the button.
Well, I don't mind the limp on the button.
Oh, what's he got going for it?
Well, the button. He waits for the other two to check and then he steals it. That's what I don't mind. And that looks like a weak bet to me, that Fitz has done there. Now he's either got a monster or he's got nothing. And I think Carados could have used his button position there a little better. That's the only reason I wouldn't have minded a limp there, Tom, is to get up to some antics on the flop.
Just out of interest, what would be a plausible scenario where what sort of flop could you reckon you could nick having limped?
That one definitely. 8-5-2 or whatever it was.
And what you're representing?
It's not so much what I'm representing. I'm representing the fact that he hasn't got any part of that.
Yeah, but what are you hoping they'll think you've got to stop them raising you back, is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't think a lot of players can raising you back in that situation if they've got nothing. That's the thing I've got to, that's the premise I'm working on. I'm not actually trying to represent a particular hand, but what I'm basically saying is that I've got a pocket pair, I guess. Pair of sevens?
Yeah.
Something along those lines?
It's an interesting idea. I mean, I can't really stomach a bluff unless there's at least, you know, 1 or 2 hands it could plausibly be, because I think people can make that re-raise bluff, and they like to make it because it's their way of saying, up yours, mate, don't try and nick it for me, I'll nick it off you.
Tough to do, I think. And especially with Carados with his chip lead. I don't think that Fitz will want to make a move on him. He knows he can swallow him up quite easily, unless he's got a big hand, and I don't think...
But if Carados is bluffing and Fitz puts in the re-raise bluff, then, I mean, Carados is going to have to let it go.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If he's, put it this way, if he's actually got the gall to do that, then he's earned that pot.
Fitz.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that will take a lot of gall, and I don't think it's necessarily even... Well, I think it's a bit more than gall. I think it's almost stupidity to actually do that and get away with it.
Well, this is it.
Against a chip leader.
Is it, if Carados really can't have any hands when he's betting there, I think you're pretty much duty-bound to put in that re-raise bluff. Oh, of course, some people can't do it, but...
Not necessarily. He could have stepped in there with 8-9. something like that. It's not unreasonable for him to have 8-9 or 7-8 perhaps.
So that's what I'm saying. As long as there's a hand, it could be fine.
Yeah, but I think when you re-raise someone, all sorts of plausible hands start entering your head anyway, and you start manufacturing hands as the opponent does sometimes anyway.
That your opponent might have.
Yeah, once you put in a re-raise, the first thing that you do is you start manufacturing possible hands he can have. And really, let's face it, there's any board out there, you can start manufacturing whatever it happens to be. There's no hand, I don't think there's any possible hand that you can say, well, what could he possibly have on that flop? If the flop even is 2, 3, 4, it's possible he could have a pair of 5s or a pair of 6s in that situation. So,
I'll tell you what my feeling is, the root of my unease about the play from Carados there, is that when someone's limp before you, to limp on the button is a strange move, because you're getting signals before the flop that you can take it there and then.
Yeah.
And the only one that really springs to mind are small pockets and suited connectors, because nothing else
I
really
agree,
makes
that
any
is
sense.
not the ideal way of playing in that particular situation with his chip stack, I don't think. I think he could have put a small raise in. It doesn't have to be a particularly big raise, but he could have put a small raise in to show strength, and then he would have just had it on a nothing flop. He would have had it just checked round to him. He wouldn't have been able to put a bet out there, Fitz, and he would have, and Carados could have just put in a continuation bet, and they would have had to fold. And he can do that for many reasons. One, because he's got the button, and two, because he's dwarfing them in chips.
And why should that matter to them at this stage in a tournament?
That he's dwarfing them in chips?
Yeah.
Just hold on a sec, Tom. Just see what happens on this hand. It's got an up and down straight draw against the overpair. Just see if anything happens. You might not fancy now that the board is paired, and I'm quite happy to sort of give it up, especially with the spade on there as well, the 2 spades on there. So, but he's decided to play along. I don't think the call on that turn was a good call. But well, for the simple reason that if you're dwarfing someone in chips, it means that you can, in theory, take them on with less of a hand.
Yeah, but why, as a person with a smaller hand, why would you care? I mean, basically, Carados and Fitz have both got roughly the same amount of chips relative to what they need to win the tournament, and that's the relevant factor here, is that they both need to take, go into pots so they're ahead and gamble if that's gambling. But they're not near the bubble or in the price structure. They've both got a negligible number of the chips they need. So, in a sense, Carados isn't dwarfing Fitz.
Well, he's dwarfing him in as much that he can knock him out and not worry about him diminishing and still have plenty to play with. That's not a consideration. So he might think, for example, that let's say that Fitz has decided that he's got middle pair. I mean, forget about the flop as it was at the moment, but if he's decided that he's possibly got middle pair.
Fitz was putting Carados to middle pair.
Yeah. Then Fitz wants to now remake a move because he thinks his hand is weak. Now, because he's dwarfing him, he can think, okay, well, Carados might still call me because of the fact that he has got so many chips that he might take a pot shot at me thinking I might be bluffing.
So Fitz might say, well, Carados might wrongly be happy to move all in here because he can't be knocked out and call my putative bluff.
There's more of a chance of him doing so because he's got those chips, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he will or he won't, but I'm just saying that whenever you've got a lot of chips, you are prepared, or some players, should I say, some players are more prepared to gamble.
Yeah, although they're wrong to do so.
Absolutely, but the truth of it is they still will. Yeah, they still will. And how many times have we seen, big chip leaders, all of a sudden they've got a big chip stack, and you look around 5 minutes later and they're gone. We were talking about. No, I was talking about you. We were talking about Reno the other day, last time we were on, and there was Gavin. Do you know Gavin Griffin? He played against Gary Bush in not last year's World Series, the one before. He was heads up on the pot limit 3,000 event, and he was playing in Reno last year, and he had a monstrous stack. I think it was something like 100,000, 90,000 on the end of. Sorry, I wouldn't say at the end of day one. It was about 5-6 hours in, and bear in mind we're starting here with 10,000 chips, and. But he's that kind of player. He's a loosey-goosey type of player, and sure enough, within half an hour, they had all gone. He was out. From being in an extremely comfortable position. So my point is that people, even good players, and I think Gavin's a pretty good player. He's He can be a little bit reckless, but he can also gain a lot of chips quickly. And a lot of players are like that nowadays. They've watched Gus Hansen, and they watch all these people make cool big bluffs and with bottom pairs and stuff like that. And a lot of players are now doing this.
Well, Carados has gone down slightly, but not tragically here, and he's putting in the minimum raise there. And what is the point, apart from to make a brilliant continuation bet on the flop? But that's about the only good thing going for a minimum raise with that hand.
No, I agree. And he's got his answer. Did I say, well, I need to gamble? Doesn't really need to gamble, but he's not in desperate stakes, but he's decided that this is the hand. And Carados can't call.
Yeah, I bet Deadeye was slightly worried that might have been a pumping bet with a pair of aces, but as you say, I mean, with 1900 and 450 in the pot, I think that's the right move.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And his chip stack relative to the blinds, that's probably spot on. Well, an interesting raise here with the pair of aces.
I think that's a raise I make. Well,
yeah.
In a cash game, for sure, that's a raise I make.
Yeah, no, in a cash game, I totally agree. But in a tournament,
yeah,
you need to acquire chips.
Let's see,
You're not going to get aces too many times, are you? Once in every 220 odd.
He's got 30 big blinds. Now that's the raise I make.
Yeah.
That's the raise I make because we've got Carados. Yeah, okay. All right, the average stack up against me is in fact,
this is the problem.
It's about 18 big blinds. I'll probably make it a bit smaller. You're right.
Yeah. I think the problem is that no one will want to see a flop for that. They're either going to push in if they've got a big hand.
No, I think I get a call from a decent hand, but I need
such as what would you say?
Something I'd say ace queen, ace jack suited, pair of nines probably.
But you are relying on that, aren't you? That's the thing. You're relying on someone to have that. Right, they won't do it with queen jack, for example. Is that less likely?
No, I know, but I mean I'm not over the moon about queen jack. To be honest, I mean, and this is a discussion I've had with James quite a lot. I tend to err on the side of getting money in the pot early, and if I lose the pot and lose them, or if I lose them and take the pot, fine. But I'm going to pump a pot.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
You see, there's more chance I'll get all their chips in the middle if they do come along with me.
Yeah, I think... it's a tough one. It's a tough one because he's not that desperate for chips. He's got about 30 times the big blind. Actually, having said that, yeah, I might be more tempted to slow play in that situation, I think. So, tell you what we'll do, Tom. We'll just watch one more hand, and then we'll zoom over to another table, perhaps. Have a look at see some of our old boys. El Pig.
El Pig. Okay. He hasn't won it for a while.
No, he used to. He went for a little rush, didn't he? A few weeks back. So Fitz with the 7-9. What's he gonna do? He hasn't got many chips to play with here. I would conserve them and throw this away if I was in his position. Maybe if I was on the button, maybe from the cutoff, but certainly not from that position. 7-9, got a gap in the middle, and when you've got a gap in the middle, your straights go from 76 to 1 to 101 to 1, so flopping that straight is even harder.
Well, Trick Rick there, determined not to be outdrawn by an overcard by shutting them out 10 times big blind raise. El Pig. And there's Dead Spiders. Our man Hugh. I think that's David Newth in seat 1.
It could be. Could be one of a number of people, couldn't it? But well, I guess it probably is. And we better hope that... can't do it now. I was going to say, better hope... Oh, he could, having said that, the other guy could hit his straight there.
Burrito.
Yeah. Needs a 10 to pop along.
10 to do all his chips.
Yeah, 10 to knock him out. In fact, he wouldn't be knocked out, would he? Because he's only got 1,500 behind him there. So.
Ah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, so he's not going to... oh, nearly. Not quite.
You could still lose some chips with a bluff.
Yeah, he's giving him a little niggly bet there, isn't he? To hopefully try and get him to go over the top.
Yeah, because Burrito can't call here, but he can raise.
Yeah. And the problem for the Kings is that he is in the big blind, which suggests that he could have a 4 from that big blind. I didn't see if there was any pre-flop action, but I was on the assumption there wasn't. He could be sitting there with a 4, which is why Burrito probably threw that away. Had he have been somewhere in the middle, he probably would have been more tempted to go over the top there. Well, Ace-9 from the small blind decides to raise it up, and El Pig says no. So Ace-8, early position, there's a simple throwaway there. Burrito can't call, no, it all folded quicker than I can call it. El Pig throws a 6-3, and Dead Spiders moves up and captures another big blind. Well, the Sixes decides to have a little limp, see if he can capture another 6 on that flop. And that's not a bad flop for a pair of 6s. Only got to worry about the Jack. Doesn't have to worry too much about the 7, because that Jack is sort of protecting him from that. About 300 into 375. Yeah, I think that's okay. Well, I personally would have made it slightly more. Made it a little bit more of a bite to it, but Ooh Baby can't call without anything there. He's only got 1900, so in fact, the bet was a good bet. It wasn't so important to make it relative to the pot, but it's more important to look at Ooh Baby's stack. You saw he's only had 1900. Are you prepared to lose 300 of that? And that did the trick. So Dead Spiders trying to command this table. He's got the chips to do it with. And nice play by Dead Spiders, using his chip stack wisely. Ooh Baby doesn't want to call with a 7-8. Don't blame him. He's starting to come a little bit lower on chips though, but he has got position. But PMB was likely to raise in that situation anyway if he'd put a little bet. So by not betting there, he actually got away with it. Well, who's going to take on this guy? Burrito like his Jack 3? No. And Poker for Charity doesn't get a look in with his 10s. Well, he's now got a pair of 4s. Let's see how he plays this from the small blind, depending on what goes on before. PMB might decide that time I made a little steal here. No. And it's worked out pretty nice, Tom, hasn't it? But he's going to get nothing, not a shilling out of this guy unless he wants to bluff at it. His hand has even improved further now, like he really needed that. And, well, he bet.
Well, he's trying to represent a bluff.
Yeah, I think he was also trying to get the guy to pay for any possible draws that he might have.
Against the house.
Yeah, but there was no straight draw for him, no flush draw, so he just had to give it up in the end. Well, another interesting scenario, pair of 8s against Ace-King. What would you like to do here, Tom, with the 8s?
With the 8s? That. Flop a full house.
See, 7-8?
Exactly, 7-8 gets absolutely mullered. I wonder why Spider's putting the minimum raise there with the Ace-King. I guess it's deceptive. Doesn't look like Ace-King. And Rocky's...
When you say minimum raise, he's put 450 in?
No, pre-flop he put it in.
Yeah, I suppose he was a bit early position, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it? Why you would do that?
I think I would have certainly slow played it on the flop there. I mean, easy to see that that the opponent's got Ace-King and I'll have to let it go. But the point is, if Dead Spider's got overcards there, he's probably not going to... he might well bluff the pot, but if he's got overcards and overpair, he's going to pay Rocky bad anyway, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think that was necessary to do that at that stage. He could have waited to the turn to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Give him another card to have a look at.
He was always going to get a big hand in to dance with him, and he could have got something like ace-king to play against him if he'd given him a bit more rope.
And of course, he did have the over full house as opposed to the under full house. And if you're wondering what I mean by over full house, is when your set, your three of a kind, is bigger than your pair, which it was in that case. 3 8s and 2 7s, as opposed to something like 3 7s and 2 8s. Makes it less susceptible to being outdrawn. And you might say, well, if the board is 7 7 8, Mark, and I've got... sorry, if the board is 7 7 8, how can I get outdrawn? Well, can't get outdrawn if you've got the pair of 8s. However, if you have got if the board is the other way round and it's 8 8 7 and you've got the pair of 7s, then you can get outdrawn if the guy's got an overpair and he hits it. Well, in fact, that would happen either way, wouldn't it? That's what we're talking about. It's a little more susceptible, let's leave it at that.
I think a dominated Jack Queen was about to push Ace Jack off it. Oh, he goes all in with baby. What a great move. And now Alpig's got a bit of a difficult decision because he's getting some odds to call here if he's not dominated. But he correctly folds. Because he was dominated. Well, we'll make this the last round of this multi-table before we slink off to a bit of cash game action. Let's see how Rocky Bad plays this pocket pair. 58 runners left in the game, so it's fairly quickly plummeting to the point where people start getting paid, thanks to those generous sponsors. 2,000 added with 100 and something runners. That is terrific value, isn't it?
It's very good value, yeah, absolutely. You won't get that too often.
No. Right, quick reminder how to get in touch with Mark Banin and myself, Dr. Tom, here in the studio tonight. We are fully live and we're here till 2 o'clock in the morning. So, these are the ways. You can text poker to this number, 84222, 84222, and of course your question in there somewhere. Or you can get on your personal computer and send an email to poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And don't forget that it's Beat the Presenter, of course, as every night. It's going to be me. Mark Bannon stepped into the breach last time, so it's going to be, there's all the information there.
I want to be Beat the Presenter.
No, you got beaten last time. It's my turn to get beaten. So I'll be kicking off after the next break at 11 o'clock. Now let's take ourselves down to a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. Snuggy Bug, aka Dave, is here in seat 3. Ken Hawkins snap it in seat 5. But I don't know the other players.
The Rock, is that our Rock?
No, don't think so. Ooh la la, pair of aces for our Rock. Well, ex-Rock, will he snap it? He's not as rocky as he once was, and he should get some action here, because when he raises, I don't think Ace-Queen will be able to put it down. There's the raise. Nice, good standard camouflaged raise, because that's what you'd raise with a wide range of hands there. 4 times the big blind when there's one limper. And he's got Ace-Queen to come along from him. And what snap it needed was to Gold Panda to catch. Trouble is, by calling there, Gold Panda has sort of given away the right to put in a continuation bet, and so Snap It now, unsurprisingly, faces a check, and he's got to hope that Gold Panda's got a pair, but he hasn't.
Was that the right bet there by Snap It?
No.
4?
I think he's so strong there. He could try and represent a real cheeky bluff.
Yeah,
or even check it.
There was very unlikely to have a straight draw there or anything, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think that was safe for a free card or a cheap card.
Yeah.
I mean, checking it is fine there, but the reason why you might put in a small bet is the guy might call it, in which case you've built a pot which you wouldn't have if you checked, and also you give him a chance to re-raise. So you give him a chance to bet the flop, which he passed up first time. But either's fine.
Well, the pair of fours is asking, am I in the lead? And he made it a little bit too cheap for him, I feel. Did he? Well, that was one into a 150 pot, so that was fine.
King, queen looking a bit sickly here.
Yeah. He's going to be sickly in a minute if he hits his king or queen. So, rules in the land of the unraised pot. Well, here we are, James. It's unraised. So let's see if it still rules and if Powser lets him get away with it.
It hasn't reached the river yet. And there you go. It's been raised.
Okay.
James is right. It's a dog in the world of when aces are raising.
When aces are racing. Yeah, well, he's just a bit fortunate there, Snuggy, that he hasn't hit anything yet. And I think Powser's going to shut this one off now. He needs to start building this pot. And Snuggy doesn't know how lucky he is not to hit that king or queen. He was praying for a king or queen on that turn, but he's very pleased it doesn't come. A simple fold all the way round to the rock. We should put in a bet here, I feel. 150, 175. Oh, he's just limped in. Okay. What do you make of that, Tom? Limping in with a pair of tens from that position.
It's probably got positive expectation. It might have less positive expectation than raising, but it's probably still there.
Well, he's going to get something here, isn't he? Look, there's almost something for everyone here. Top pair. Inside straight draw for both Gold Panda and Snug. You know, both got the wrong, the different end of the open-ended straight draw. What a flop. And the ace is asking a question. One intent. He's going to have a little look to see if he can hit his two. And tens thinks he's incredibly strong.
Time to bet now, though, because another high card will give a straight to someone.
Yeah.
Normally.
3 into 5.
Yeah, I like it.
That's one instance where I wouldn't have minded a minimum raise on the turn, on the flop. Yeah, when the guys bet one.
What are you representing with the minimum raiser?
I'm just really want to build the pot at that point and then just take it away on the turn.
But there's a danger that you're making the pot smaller in the long run by alerting your opponents to something fishy going on.
Yeah, I just the problem with the hand is that once I'm up against two players, I'm up against two big cards. I think there was an ace and a 10 there, so there is potential straight draws. Forgetting about the ace-5 because you can't guess for him having 3-4 or something like that. But
the minimum raise isn't going to push anyone out. As you say, it builds the pot.
It just builds the pot. That's the pure reason. And if you're going to, the problem is, I'm not sure how. Are you really alerting someone?
I think there's a danger. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you want them in. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I make the decision whether I want to play against two players or not, and if I don't, then I raise it properly. But if I'm prepared to play against two players, I then say, well, what is going to be the biggest pot I can get? And I think for me, the pot is more likely to be big if I check it, or flat call rather. Or at least I've got a better chance of creating a massive pot by getting that big bet on the end when my opponent catches something like maybe two pair.
Yeah.
But if I've tipped them off early, I might lose that big no limit type bet.
How do you counter that with the idea that by building the pot, you're doing a couple of things. One, obviously, you're building the pot earlier, than you are in the other scenario, and two, you're now creating better odds for them to call on the turn because the pot is that bit bigger when you do put in a bet.
That's an interesting point. So you can now slap in a bigger bet on the turn. Yeah, I mean, my logic stands that for example, if by not raising on the flop, they then bet the turn themselves, and I raise them. Again, I can raise them less and give them the same generous odds. It doesn't really matter where the money goes in.
Only that there's another card to scare you, possibly. That's all. And your aces are still. Oh, sorry, your tens are still okay. It's a set, but it's
Yeah, but that's a different decision. I mean, as I say,
Yeah.
I independently decide how many people I want to play against, and I look to maximise the pot,
Yeah.
assuming I'm going to win, and then obviously I can get out if something terrifying comes,
Mm-hmm.
four Broadway cards or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that is the problem with doing it my way, definitely. The fact that you are alerting the better players that you've got a hand. Because, like you said, it just looks like you want them in. But at the same token, it is a play that can be made by putting in that minimum raise. It can be a type of play when you've got a draw to buy the turn card. To buy the river card, rather, for free.
I agree, yeah, and in a sense, that sort of proves my point that it can slow down the betting. If people are prepared to do that to sort of sacrifice money on a draw, knowing that they're not going to take it with a semi-bluff, then, as you say, it can slow down the betting. So, like all things in poker, it's a case of judging the player against the players.
I just wonder whether those players would pick up on that and say, OK, are you trying to buy the river card for nothing? And that's why you're doing it. Hence, they might come back over the top, possibly, or put a bigger bet, or put a bet in on the turn because they're thinking 2 steps ahead. But it's like who's bluffing who's bluffing the bluffer?
I think the danger there is that they may say, well, it's either a milking bet to keep us in, or it's a draw. If one of the obvious draw cards comes, then I'll shut up shop.
Yeah.
And go from there. But until that, I'll assume it's a milking bet and he's got a made hand.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting game, poker, isn't it?
Yeah, with so many different viewpoints. Well, Snappet's on the button with the 7s, and he's had a limper from early position. Yeah, there's 2 ways you can play it, and I don't mind either, really. I don't mind the bet of 2. I think that's a nice bet. I'm probably slightly in favour of that.
Yeah, it's big enough.
Although I don't mind it with the 7s, I don't mind the limp either. And the reason I don't mind is with a pair of 8s or a pair of 9s, I'll be more scared of limping. For the simple reason that if the guy has limped under the gun with a pair of aces and the flop comes 7 high, I'm now going to do a few chips. Whereas with a pair of 7s, it's unlikely to come 6 high, for argument's sake, for you to lose your chips. There's more chance of you losing some more chips with 8s, 9s, and those bigger pairs. So I tend to want to find out where I am with those against an early position limper.
Mm-hmm. So if you've got the 7s and an 8 comes, you consider that a potential scare overcard? Yeah,
I would still feel I'm pretty safe, but at least if someone comes back over the top, I can then say, OK, well, maybe he has got an 8 or he's got an overpair. But at least now I've got a more of a justification for throwing the hand away. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I've got a pair of 9s and it's come 7 high or 8 high, it's that little bit harder, and I'm probably likely to lose a few more chips by doing it. So I'd rather lose those chips prior to the flop coming out rather than losing them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, he might just have nothing like he's got there. So just King Jack in that particular instance. So I think the important thing, Tom, in all of this, we're talking, me and you are debating different ways and playing different hands. It's really about as long as you know what you're setting out to do.
That's right, yeah, as long as you're following a coherent line of thought that will pay, given that your opponents have got what you hope they got.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuzzy like calling not knowing why you're calling is just crazy. Or betting because, you think it's time you bet, or to show them what's for. Oh my God, 4 3s out, drawn 3s.
Can't be too happy about his 4-3 though, can he? And he's been re-raised. I like the bet there. He's only worried about the jack. And the bet did look weak. So he said, OK, well, let's see. And it was a nice play there by Gold Panda, I thought. Read it for what it was, and if he came back over the top, which is a much harder thing to do, then he said, OK, well, I'll let it go then. Incredible how this game has changed, this 25-cent, 50-cent game from what we used to see sort of, almost a year ago now. About a year ago when I first came onto Poker Night Live.
It's got a bit tougher.
A bit tougher, yeah. It was a lot tougher. I mean, they're playing some decent stuff, aren't they? Their bets seem to make more sense than 6-7 months ago. There seems to be a pattern of what they're trying to suggest that they've got, and they're following through nicely in certain cases. So, yeah, it's you can't really look around on that table and say, oh yeah, he's a fish and he's he's going to lose his chips in a couple of hours' time. Whereas 6 months ago, I think you could pick out 2 or 3 that were likely to do that.
Well, Snap It pushed onto the back foot before the flop, calling that re-raise. Now they've both checked the flop, so the initiative is up for grabs. They've both checked the turn. Yeah, nice bet from Snap It because he's worked out correctly. Oh, great call from Steamer. I like the bet. I like the call even more.
Yeah, Snap It overbet the pot there. Trying to represent a 7 possibly. What would he be doing unless he had a pocket pair of 7s? There was a straight with a 1-card straight with a 7.
To be honest, I think Snap It had correctly worked out Steamer had nothing of it and thought, well, if I put in a big bet, he just can't call it, even if it looks a bit suspicious. So, I mean, I think if that was his rationale, it was great, because I'm surprised Steamer called.
Yeah.
But
on the same token, I think Steamer looked at it and said, hold on a sec, you've bet more than the pot. What could you possibly have?
I think
if you've got a 1-card straight, a 7, surely you want me in this pot, unless you're trying to represent that you are overbetting the pot with the made hand.
Yeah.
But what could you have that you could be comfortable with there? And I think the call was not that hard to work out. It might have been hard to work out in 10, 15 seconds. This is all these guys get. But I think if he looks back and thinks, well, hold on a sec, what could you possibly have there? There's nothing that justifies. If you've got a 7, then you want me in. So why are you betting so much? And if you've got top pair, which is a 10, once again, you must be terrified of that board. Why are you betting again?
So it seems to what you're saying there is that Snap It's bet size alone couldn't be expected to carry the
I don't think
through,
it followed
but
through.
In fact he had to have a more credible hand he could be representing.
Yeah, I think so. I think the board, there was no, I think on that particular case, I think it was very ballsy of Snap It to try that move. But I think Steamer looked at it. I'm hoping this is what happened. He looked at it and he just couldn't make sense of what he could possibly have.
It's interesting because,
like that.
Although I think you're right, and a terrific call from Steamer, it does rather detract from what you were saying earlier, that when your opponent's got nothing, you can make a move.
Yes, but you've also got to have some idea of what you can manipulate in that situation. And there are some boards, it's easier to do with a flop because there's less cards on it to have made certain made hands. When you've got the whole story there in front of you, like you have with a river, then
you're right.
And you've seen 3 or 4 rounds of betting, then you've got a storyline to follow through. By that point, it's a bit too late.
What was your thinking, Ken? Because we know you're listening, and you've got email capabilities. Because I like the bet, but obviously I like the call even more. Yeah.
I think my preferred bet of Snap It was there is to say, well, look, what could I represent here? I could try and represent a 7, I suppose. But if I'm going to do that, then my bet, I think there was about 10 in the pot, then my bet has to be around about 7, 6, 7, if I have got a 1-card straight, if I've hit that miracle. Now, the question, by the same token, at Snap It now that he's defined the bet that needs to follow the story, he's now got to say, well, will a bet of 6 actually put the guy off any kind of hand? And the answer probably is no.
I think Snap It correctly worked out he had nothing and wanted to push him off something like Ace-King with a big bet. But it's a great call. It did look like Steamer had, by not betting the turn, he's pretty much said, I've got nothing here.
Yeah. I think that was the clue, wasn't it? As I said, it was a story, just didn't quite make sense. And I think Snap It just said, OK, well, I'm going to try and bulldoze you. So, yeah, interesting play. Nice little hand, that. Oh, King 10 against King Jack. A bit of pain there for the rock.
I'm happy to check this, actually, with King Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's starting to look quite nasty now.
It's one of the few hands there, King 10, that would have paid me. But there aren't that many.
There are not many there, absolutely. No, that was the right thing to do, Pauser.
Well, there's Queens, Ace-King, Ace-King. Queen's in good shape here. 4 outs between his opponents. He's got the blockers for their straights. I think he's going to get paid here, Mr. Panda.
Tom, another question for you. This is something that in fact, we'll watch this hand because this is an potentially interesting hand.
It's pretty dull now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think. Well, you'd think that one of the Ace-Kings is probably thinking, yeah, I'm ahead here.
You say it, Snap It bets it.
Yeah, I don't blame him for the bet. It's been folded round to him, checked round to him. Gold Panda's obviously just milking him here. He probably wants to start shutting this off now with a spades and a possible draw. He hasn't, Gold Panda. He's really slow in playing this to death, and I don't like it.
I think Snap is going to give up. I don't think he's going to push this through.
No, I think he might do.
He's being called a big value flop.
And now Snap it can give it up, because now if he did put him on a spade draw, which is the only thing he could be calling with possibly.
That's behind.
Yeah, he's now losing. So.
But he's giving himself a bit of dignity by dwelling up before he folds.
Yeah.
But we can see what you got Snap in. And he's topped up.
So, a question for you, Tom.
Okay.
Oh, look, we've got another hand here. I can't. Ace 7-8, Ace Queen, Ace King. Got
Well,
7-8's right.
I mean, Ace King, Ace Queen, yeah.
So, River Principle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know. What are your views on the River Principle? Because I'm not convinced that it is a principle.
What? That's the only principle there is in poker.
And the reason I say that is because it defeats the object of value betting.
Well, no, that's not quite the point. The river principle is you've got to work out when you can make a value bet. And do you want to recap the river principle for some of our viewers, Mark? Yeah,
basically, the river principle is in effect means that if it's been checked to you and you're the person on the end, and you believe that you have the winning hand, and there's a choice, isn't there? There's a choice of either betting by value betting, or if you can only get called by a better hand, then that's the river principle. Then don't bet when you can only get called by a better hand, and that's in effect what the river principle is. Now, my point of view is sometimes people take this river principle a bit too far and not value betting their hands.
There I agree with you.
And I think they perhaps read the river principle as don't do it because, and what happens is they don't actually read the situation, and they say, okay, well, river principle applies here. I've got King 10, it's the King high board. It doesn't look that scary, but I won't bet. Mm-hmm. Thinking that the guy could have middle pair and he might call in for a small bet and value bet. And I think a lot of bets are lost that way.
I think of all the difficult decisions you face in poker, that's, in a way, it's the most pedestrian one, but it's the one you face most often. Is on the river, can I get paid here by a worse hand? Or am I just setting myself up to be check raised by a better hand and then either wrongly fold because it's a bluff or wrongly call because it's a value raise on his part? And you face this decision again and again. But I mean, the principle that you learn, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I learned the river principle, it was literally a bombshell. It suddenly showed me what it was like to play poker properly. It's a huge idea. And then it's true what Mark says, is that you spend a lot of time then, having learnt that, learning that you have to loosen up a bit and actually get those people who ignore the river principle and don't understand that you really need quite a strong hand to bet on the river, who'll keep paying you off. And so you can keep downgrading your hand a bit more and more. So one of my notes on players, principle notes I make on players, is whether they seem to respect the river principle or not. And if they don't, then I value bet them.
Yeah, good point. There you are. So some little tip there from Tom. Maybe you want to keep notes on the river principle in respect to players. Do they respect it? Do they ignore it? So there's a little tip from Tom there. Nice one.
Tips galore coming out tonight, but it's not just one-way traffic here on Poker Night Live, so please get in touch with myself and Mark Banin. These are the ways you can do it. You can text us. Text poker and your question to 84222. Or you can use your difference engine to email us. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Don't forget also that there is a wonderful forum and associated website there, www.pokernightlive.co.uk, where we've got oodles of poker left for you, going right through till 2 o'clock. It is, of course, all live on Poker Night Live. I'm going to be logging on to a little sit and a go in a very short period of time. It's quite a tough game these days, that sit and go. Here's me putting my excuses already. But I'm sure I'll bubble. But we're not sure what stakes it will be. It will probably be one of the 3 more blind-friendly games, Shelby Nicholson and whatever the other one is. But I'll be pootling along there soon. So do come and keep me company while I'm battling away. Mark will take the reins with the poker. Where are you going to take us? Have you decided what game we're going to?
I don't know. Now it's up to me. I can do what I like now that I've got a bit of power, yeah.
You have to stay in the studio and commentate, you know.
Oh, of course, yeah. And of course we'll be doing some commentary on Tom a little later. So, yeah, there we are.
You'll be doing the commentary while I'm doing my money. We've got a short break here. Do come back in 7 minutes. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. I'm happily ensconced on one of these sit-and-go tables. Unfortunately, the wrong one. I'm on table orange, so I'm on the fast structure, but never mind, I'm playing with a whole load of new people I've never seen before, which is lovely. I'm going to hand you over now to Mark Banin so that I can play the massive hand I've just been dealt.
Okay, good luck, Tom. So, let's have a look. I think we're going to have a little look at our table. I think we'll go to our multi-table tourney to see how those boys are doing, and then we'll kick into a cash game. So let's dip into here. So there are 33 runners left at the moment, so across 5 tables. Don't forget this one started with 115. They all started with 2,000 in chips. The sponsors who are running the tournament have actually put in extra money into this one, which makes it nice. That's what that 2,000 means at the top. And we're looking at the chip leader, who's Hoik Balls, who's one of our regular viewers and players on these tables, so he's looking pretty good at the moment. And if we're into 33, then that means that, guess what, we're into the money. In fact, we're just one short of the money. 32 is where the money gets paid, so that'll be interesting to see how these boys develop. So 5-7 for Hilt. Nothing doing here. We're waiting for the bubble boy to go. Well, nothing much going on here. Madney's got a hand he's going to commit himself to. Bubble or no bubble. He's not going to accept a raise without pushing his chips in. And will Hoik be in doubling mood? Yes, he will. He's decided, I want to have a go. And he can't fold for the extra. So Madney knows that he's going to commit himself on his hand. Hoik has to call. He needs a 5, and oh, he's got an ace as well now. No. So that was looking a little bit scary there for Mad Nev. But he's managed to double throw, and he'll be well pleased with that. Well, Victoria Jane with the ace-10. Decides to put in a little bet of 800. See what happens. Now, Mad Nev, what's he going to do with his ace-7? Probably throw it away, I guess. It's an early position raise. Well, he's... I don't really like that Mad Nev. He might get away with it, because it's quite a big re-raise. Another 2,500 odd for Victoria to call, and she's not really getting the pot odds to call with ace-10, just a little bit short. And I mean, of course, she's getting pot odds if she could see the hand, but in terms of calling with an ace-10, she could be dominated. She really needs a little over 2 to 1. She really needs around 2.5 to 1, just in case she is dominated. So at least that would probably be about the right price. But we are watching a tournament, so when you've got a tournament, it's not just about pot odds. There is an element of survival. And regardless of what the pot is generally laying you, sometimes you need to factor in the survival into the equation. And sometimes it can be a big part of the equation, especially if you're on the bubble. Or up to if you're in a situation where there's a big price increase. Well, ace-10 against queen-10, and we've lost that guy, so... The fact that there's 8 players, or there was 8 players on this table, suggests that we're on 4 tables. 4 by 8, 32. We've just lost one, down to 31. We've just having a look across. We've just lost another one off another table, so we're actually down to 30 now. Victoria Jane probably doesn't want to take on a chip leader. That's the advantage of having lots of chips. Danger Mouse might decide that now that he's in the money, he's going to make a move. He's in desperate trouble here, though, if he gets called. In fact, he's not getting called. He says, put the rest of your chips in. And look at that, he's flopped the straight. Wow. How lucky is that? 76 to 1 shot, and he hit it. Was a little bit more difficult for Hoik Bulls to actually flop the straight there with a Queen Jack. One of his cards, the Ace, is capping there, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. It's about 101 to 1, I think, for a Queen Jack to flop a straight. So in terms of straights, the 10 Jack had the advantage. Ghost Zapper taking it with a minimum raise. He's quite happy with that. And it looks like he's the chip leader. So this is going to be an interesting game played out between these boys. Well, Hoik thinks that he's might be being toyed with here, and he's hit his 10. That's not going to help, and there's no... Oh, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. He hit his flush, and how horrible is that? Well, when your luck's in, let's have a look at that again. He flopped the set of 10s. He was had a big advantage pre-flop. All the chips went in. A big advantage, something like 3 to 1, maybe even a slightly more, about 28%. So it was around 3 to 1 there, and well, it just shows you any hand can win, and that Queen 10 stormed into the lead by hitting the flush. No pair on the board means no full house, and we lose him, and that's a horrible way to go. So very unlucky there. Done nothing wrong, done exactly everything right, and that was a cruel way to go. Runner for a flush. Well, this is trouble here for Ghost Zapper. He's hit top pair, and he can't fold this, not for the difference, I don't think. This could be anything, absolutely anything. Oh, he has. Well, how's that for conservation? And Mad Neff, from being on the brink of going out, has now got himself up to 6,000, so he's climbing nicely. Victoria can simply throw this away. It's only a Queen 5, early position raiser, and it's the chip leader. Yes, it is the chip leader, so simple throwaway there for Victoria. Nothing to think about. It's a nothing hand, Queen 5. And he's at it again. This time he's got the Ace 10. And no one can call. That's another 900 chips. He says thank you. That's 1,800 chips he's just picked out in the last 2 hands. That's pretty beneficial when you bear in mind that there's players like Jack the Cat who's only got 2,800, and in 2 hands, Hoik has picked up 18. So he'll be pleased about that. Well, what's going to happen here? Now, Danger Mouse needs to do something here that isn't going to scare off Hoik, and that's not it. You can only call him with a good hand. He knows that you're pot committed, Danger Mouse, so he knows that you're not going to throw it away, so he can't even make the re-raise on you. So I think that's a good time to actually slow play that hand, take a chance, try and double up. You're hoping that the one player that was left was going to have a hand, and that was the only way he could do anything with you, because he can't go over the top of you because he knows you're going to call. So he can't even try that as a bluff with a weak hand like Jack 10 or something. Don't forget, there are 2 ways to win in poker. One is by actually having the best hand, and the second one is actually by getting your opponent to lay down the best hand. And of course, if he's already committed half his stack to the pot, you're never going to get him to do that. Very, very unlikely anyway. There's no foldability, no fold equity. Well, pair of jacks here for Hoik. Just gets better and better for Hoik. He's getting all the hands. He makes it 3 times a big blind, 1,800. That's a good size bet. I like the bet. And that's another 900. Thank you very much for. Well, there's no stopping this guy. He's now hit ace king. Although it's not as good as it looks, for the simple reason that one of the aces has already gone. Jack the Cat has got the ace 10. And Danger Mouse is now saying he wants to commit on this hand. Hoik no doubt will go over the top. He does. Ace 10 can probably fold this, I guess, now. It's been raised, re-raised, he can only call. And I guess he has to fold. Yeah, he does. Good fold there by Jack the Cat. You don't want to be up against two people. You know the other guy's going to call. But by the same token, he might decide that this is a hand worth tripling up on. So wouldn't have minded it. Wouldn't have been terrible if he had called. But there you go. No 8 in sight means, and 1 king on the board means that Hoik takes it with his pair of kings. Okay, I think we'll stay with this table for a few minutes longer, and then we'll see what other games we've got for you. Perhaps there's a cash game going somewhere. Let's see what we can track down. So, Dead Spiders with a king-queen. He's hit top two pair. He's going to like that. He's only up against one player. So he's just wondering now whether he should just flat call or raise. Personally, I don't mind the minimum raise, and he's done it. That's would have been my preferred play. And it is a little bit of a scary board there. King, Queen, couple of clubs. Not the best. So you want to find out if your guy is just on a bluff or on a draw. So if he was on any kind of partial draw, he might have just called in for the extra 1800. The fact that he had 2 overcards to his jacks. And the Ghost Zapper made a good laydown, and he's made a couple of those. We've seen him lay down a couple of times. Top pair with his Jack 5 in the big blind he laid down earlier to someone with a pair of kings. So he's been making some good laydowns. The only problem is you can't keep laying these down because eventually you're just going to have no chips left. So sometimes you've got to be prepared to take a fly with a certain hand. But so far he's been playing well. Made all the right moves, all the right laydowns. Oh, we're in trouble city here. Hoik's got 10 jack suited, and he's never going to see that board. He's going to have all ins all around him. Goes up and get away with this. King, Queen. He must be getting a little bit fed up of having to lay down hands all the time, but this probably won't be one that he wants to call, unless he gets flat called down. Now he might feel that he's getting odds to call. Let's see. No. Well, he's thrown away the ace-queen burrito. And I actually quite like it. I must tell you, I like the fold. Now you might think, well, why do you like the fold, Mark, when he's got ace-jack? Well, for the simple reason he's raised under the gun. He's made it 2,400, so it's a significant amount, and he's practically, not quite, but he could be well committed to that pot. And if you know you can't get the guy to fold, then you're in effect just calling for the majority of your chips with ace-queen. And he feels he doesn't need to do that against someone who might have him dominated. If it's ace-king, then that's a different story. But ace-queen, he might be dominated, might be in a world of pain, or he might be in a very favourable position, and he's taken the lesser of two evils, I think. So that was I like the fold by Burrito, I must say. I think that's a very, very good fold. In the long run, it's certainly one that will pay you dividends. Ace-9 for Burrito. You definitely want to put in a bet here. 1800 will do fine. He does have to be careful though, because I don't even mind the fold here to a degree. No, in fact, that's the best play he can do. And I like this play. I do like the play. And I'll tell you why. It's now taken the possibility of Victoria Jane going all in. So he can only call an all in now. And I actually think that is the best play that he could have made in that situation. Making it 1800 is not such a good play. And I'll tell you why it's not such a good play. Because Victoria Jane might think, he's trying to nick from the button. I'll go over the top. And Burrito will read it for what it is. He'll think, well, I've got the best hand. I know I have. She's just trying to get me off this hand. So I'll call. But the problem is with ace-9, you're never going to be that big a favourite over any hand. You know, unless you've got a dominated ace. So he's done exactly the right thing there, Burrito. As far as I'm concerned, he nicked the blinds. They're worth stealing. They're 900. And that's more than 10% of his stack. So I think he's done the right thing. Good play by Burrito. I like the way this guy's playing. Or girl. And we have a new person joining us. We've got 20 players roughly on these tables now. Actually, it might be down to a few less than that, actually. Okay. Okay, I think it's time for a little change. Let's slot over to a cash game.
Slot over?
Yeah.
As in
Slot
what of over? That's not a verb, you can't slot.
Can't you? Okay, well, I'm slotting.
You do it very nicely.
In Connect 4, you slot those little chip things, don't you?
Do you? I suppose you could say that. You sort of drop them, I think.
Slotting them, I think. That's why they're called slot machines. It's like a slot, isn't it? Okay, now I know that all of you have forgotten how to contact the show, so I'm going to give you a reminder after this hand. Do have some emails building up, but you know here on Poker Night Live, we love lots of emails, lots of questions. Anything that you thought about during the course of this show, or anything that you're not sure about how to play, or a situation that you're not quite sure how to play, you're new to the show, want to know how to get out of a particular situation, or you want to know what to do in a particular situation. A common one is, I've got ace-king, I make a raise, someone calls me, and a flop comes jack-5-4. What do I do? There it is. So if you want to contact the show, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The first way is text the word poker and your question and your name to 84222. That's one of the easier ways of doing it. There's an even easier way of doing it, and that is you send your questions to poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And as well as all of that, when you get a chance, have a look at our website. It's www.pokernightlive.co.uk. Great forum on there, lots of useful information. And you might want to watch the show on Sunday, because on Sunday, I think it's the 5th or the 6th one that's coming up, we've got a Poker Bowl special. We'll be watching one of the tables of the Poker Bowl. It's been 6 weeks, goes through to a semi-final, goes through to a final that's played live in the studio, and should make out for a great tournament. So if you're around at 10 o'clock on Sunday, tune in, it'll be worth watching. Should be a lot of fun. So a pair of sevens for SG. German Virgins for Johan. Kirkby wants to have a look of his ace-jack. And he's wants to put out a bet here. Certainly wants to put out a raise. Wants to find out. He wants to make it substantial as well. Wants to make it around 250. I think is the right play. Is the right bet for me. Maybe even a bit more, but 250, 325. Oh, he's done it. He's heard me. Well done, Kirby. That's a good bet. And it's a good bet because you need to find out where you're at. You need to find out whether your opponents have ace-queen or they have something better. We can see that Johan has got something better, so that's why. Now, had he made it slightly more, it would have been an even better bet for Kirkby. And the reason I say that is because it means that anyone that comes over the top, you now know for certain that they must have a good hand. Now, Kirkby has to take a view. Is Johan on a draw, or has he got a made hand? Well, none of them will like that, but I'm sure Johan probably wants to value bet this. He probably still thinks that his set of nines is winning here. So I'm sure he will want to put a value bet here. probably around 4 or 5, something like that will do nicely. 450, about half the pot would be a good bet. He's well, I think the whole idea of a value bet is to get him to call, and I think that was a little bit over the top. And I say it's over the top because Johan couldn't have been that certain as to what Kirkby had. He must have figured him for an ace, but the fact that he checked the turn must have felt that Kirkby wasn't that comfortable with his ace. Regardless of what ace it was, he wasn't that comfortable with it. It's not important to know what kind of ace he's got, it's important to know what kind of feeling the person has about that particular hand. And in that particular hand, he must have sensed that Kirkby wasn't that comfortable with it, so he's unlikely to call an over bet. Less likely. So I think a value bet there, just about another 4 or 5 into that pot, probably would have got him to call, and that would have been the right amount for me. The whole idea of value bet, it's a value bet. It's a little bit of, it's the shoe polish with the shoes, the shoe salesman said.
Garen241 says, if you're reading this, hi Mark, I was really pleased for you the other night. And Flying Aces says, why did he get his leg over? What's the story?
I don't know what he's talking about. Please for me. Oh, the other night I was playing in the studio he's talking about, and I came second. I had my aces cracked for heads up when I had a big chip lead, but there you are. I did get lucky in one particular hand.
No bad beat stories, please.
I hope they're my bad beat stories. If I want to tell them, I'll tell them.
We encourage everyone to tell. We've got to set an example here on Poker Night Live. No bad beat stories, unless they're extraordinarily unlucky or very, very funny. Although hearing you having your aces getting cracked is quite funny, I must admit.
You better carry on, Tom.
I can't, mate. It's all over. I
Oh,
can't tell you what happened.
I don't want to hear a bad beat story, Tom.
But it's a very quick structure. It's a very quick structure, so it could be I won it, or it could be I couldn't play it very well because it's a very quick structure, so what can you do? So I can help you with the commentary now, Mark.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to have a little snooze here. You go away. You fire away. Right, good night. Oh, I'll pass you over to Tom.
Good, what's going on then? What's this, a cash game? Oh, it's the same boys. Johan Haran, ace-king. Pauser, suited ace. Johan Haran got the crucial king there. Blocker for Pauser's Broadway straight.
Yeah, we've seen some, must admit, some interesting plays, and certainly one's worth debate over the last few hands, so be interesting to see. Johan central to it all, as he always is. Can't stop that boy. Yeah, interesting here. A bit of a dilemma for Snap here. He's in early position with ace-10 suited. He'll want to do something with this hand, I think. I don't think he'll want to throw it away. Now, the question is, will he raise with it, or will he flat call? I'm more in favour of a little raise here, making it up to 150. Don't like the limp, but he's decided for a limp. The only problem is that ace-10 in particular is a particularly nasty hand if you hit the ace, for the simple reason that if you don't hit your 10, you might be out-kicked, and even if you're not out-kicked, you might be losing to 2 pair if someone else has hit the ace. So it's a pretty nasty sort of hand. It's right in the middle of those hands.
I think it's a hand. I mean, it's a hand you might call with knowing that you don't want to raise it, knowing that you don't want to fold it, and thinking, okay, I'll improvise this as I go along. I'll know what to do on the flop, and if you feel confident with yourself that you can do that, fair enough.
Do you know what to do on the flop though when it comes ace high?
Well, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, with ace like ace-10, I mean, it's sort of half good, but it's not that good.
But then you face a bet on the flop, and you think, well, I'll know what to do on the turn. So you call that. And then on the turn, someone bets you. You think, well, I'm sure I'm going to know what to do on the river.
Yeah.
And then the river comes and they bet at you.
Yeah.
And you've got a decision.
Yeah, you give away some more chips, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, it is a dilemma of ace-10. That's why I prefer the raise, squeeze out any sort of mediocre ace-8s, ace-7s. They might still call you anyway, but less likely if they're in an earlier position.
Queen Jack, monster against ace-3 suited. At the moment, at least. There is a gut shot for Johan. And, well, tricky. Doesn't look like Johan Haran's got a jack with a big kicker because he's bet it so robustly, but Pauser lets it go. Nice bet, Johan. He's aggressive so-and-so, our Johan Hurren. I'm betting with not much there. Now aces versus Queen King. We saw that earlier today. And Queen King got away from it without too much worry. And it's the fours coming in considerably better shape against aces than Queen King off, but still a big dog. And about 9-2. Well, I don't think Johan Hurren's going to be scared off by that. Well, he's got a call, so he's made a great bet. I mean, that's the only thing you can say about that bet. It looks crazy, but if it gets paid off, it was right, because he judged his opponent right.
Well, he goes from strength to strength. He turned his $50 into $131, so he's got to be pleased about his play so far. Of course, we're watching, if you've just tuned in, we're watching a cash game. These are people from all around the world playing live poker on the internet. So a slight delay for 5 minutes so that they can't actually see each other, turn on the TV and see each other's whole cards. The game we're watching is called a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. The maximum buy-in for this is $50. Minimum buy-in is $5. You can sit down with anything, any one of those numbers or anything in between. And once your money runs out, if it does run out, you can put some more down or you can get up and leave. It's up to you. So it is a cash game. There's no beginning, there's no end. All the beginning is when there's players to play, and the end is when there's no one to play. But at any point, it can just continue and continue and continue. Some cash games have been known to go on and on and on for days, haven't they, Tom?
Yep.
Mainly of the live variety, though. Can't imagine playing too many cash games on the internet for days, but there has been I've known one or two to actually do it. So no, Butterfish, I think he's just well, Rat Blue has decided to come in, Tom, with now this name Rat Blue, this rings a bell from a long time ago. Now I don't know whether I'm just imagining it or whether it's actually the same person, but I remember a fairly loose player coming in, and the fact that he's opened up with 8-3 has suggested that this could be the guy. But we'll see. Let's see if he calls this.
I don't remember him.
No, maybe it's just my imagination. He has folded the 8-3. So I'm not sure whether he actually just sat down and put that in or whether he actually voluntarily put it in. I think he voluntarily put in with the 8-3. But anyway, Ace-King for Rat Blue. Got a proper hand now. Let's see what he does with it. Makes it 2. That's an okay bet. 150, anything around the 152 mark is good. A little bit on the heavy side, but not too bad. King 3 doesn't want to know. Don't blame him for that. Snap it. What's he going to do with a King Jack? One short of the cut-off. Decides he doesn't want to play. And I don't really blame him for that. Don't mind playing King Jack from one position further on, but it's a little bit too early for me as well. Maybe if it was suited.
I agree.
Yeah. Might tempt me a little bit more. And the reason is suitedness doesn't give you a great deal in terms of edge, but it does give you an extra 3 or 4% depending on what situation there is. But generally speaking, it'll give you another 3 or 4%. And when you are sliding down out of position, then every percentage point counts. So that's what cash games are all about. It's about maximising percentage points. And that's why I thought it was a little bit of a shame that Johan missed an opportunity with Kirkby not to use, not to make use of a value bet before, because every time you gain an extra few dollars, that is an extra couple of percentage points in your favour.
Well, Ace-Jack suited in an 8-handed game is somewhat better than in a 10-handed game. However, he is facing a raise, and that massively downvalues Ace-Jack. It's really not a great hand against a raise. Sometimes it will be ahead, a lot of the time it won't, and if it's up against an ace, it will be dominated more often than not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't like a call with ace-jack. He's called, possibly the suitedness of it has clouded him a little bit, but I really don't like it. It's something like, it must be around late 200s to actually flop a straight with that, so it gives you an idea compared with a 10-jack, which is 76 to 1. So, you don't hit very much with it. You don't hit a straight. Your chance of flopping a flush is 118 to 1, so you're not going to see much there. So you're really hoping for a jack, and then if you've hit a jack, you might be already losing to someone who's got a pair of queens. So it's not a good calling hand, not calling a raise with. Very dangerous. And plus, in his situation, he wasn't even guaranteed the button. There's a good chance he would have it, but he wasn't guaranteed it. So another reason not to call. And all these, as I said, they keep making up percentage points. And you've got to try and grasp every point you can to make cash games work. Well, Folly with the ace-queen takes it down. A couple of 6-5s out there. And a 5-7 to boot, so not many 5s left in this pack. Lots of connected cards here, apart from the 2-9. They're all sort of pretty much connected to each other. Let's see what happens. We see a flop of 7-8-9 with 2 clubs on board. We could see a lot of money go in this pot. We could have a top pair. Well, up and down for Snap It. Nothing for the 2-6-5s. And King Jack up and down too. Well, Snap It electing to call.
Chasing those implied odds against admittedly an aggressive player, and that does up his implied odds considerably for Snap It. We've seen Johan Hiram prepared to make a massive bet, and that's quite tantalising when you're drawing.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows that he could pay him off, absolutely. Well, that's not helped anyone, so what does Snap It think? He thinks, well, I can only win it with a bet, and will Johan believe him for it? Well, thanks. I didn't hit my draw. I'll leave it. And that 10 on the end, or double pairing the board, make possibly Snap It feel a lot more comfortable that he could have that hand. And Johan, he certainly got Johan to believe it. Butterfish.
Tough decision under the gun. And there's a walk. King Queen once more. Now, in the land of the unraised pot, King Queen rules, and I think we're going to see that situation.
Yeah, we'll Snap It leave. Well, he doesn't call, doesn't like. I don't understand that by Snap It. Ace-8 on the cutoff.
I could take or leave it, to be honest,
Yeah, I won't do it all the time, but I think, if I've been pretty aggressive, then generally I'll probably let it go. But
he has just bluffed off Johan Hiram. Maybe he feels his bluffing credit is a bit lower.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely, and that was exactly what I just said. That had I been active in a couple of hands earlier, then I might just let it go. So yeah, very good point there by Tom. You don't want to keep at it because you won't have any credibility. Well, he's not going to let this one go, that's for sure. And he's made it 2. And I like the bet of 2. I think that's a spot on for Snap It. I think 150 in that position is a little bit on the weak side, but I think 2. Oh, unfortunately, no one had anything, so they couldn't call him.
I think that's normally in the bin for me, but in a passive game, I don't mind giving it a spin. But
what hand is that?
A6. A6 suited.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. Well, SG has got his ace-2. Oh, Butterfish has come alive. We know that Kirkby's a fairly tight player from his play earlier, So he knows that he's going to be able to steal his blind pretty much at will. The only problem is he has got to go through Johan Harem to do it. And he might pick up on what Bodder's up to, so he might decide to, every now and again, just pop him back.
Well, Folly there folded ace-jack off without too much delay in early position. He's obviously also not a fan of that hand.
No, I don't blame him. It's a horrible, nasty little hand to have in early position. In a cash game, especially. It's not wonderful in a tournament game either, but you might be a little bit more prepared to, a little bit more sympathy with it. Oh, look at that, he's flopped. You know, I was thinking the other day, I've heard this situation, Tom, about the number of times, I don't know what it is, that I keep hearing ace-queen flopping straights and me seeing ace-queen flopping straights. It's just incredible. I mean, it's a big dog, you know, it's around 300 to 1 to flop a straight with ace-queen. Yeah, it seems to keep coming up.
And I think the dollar he got out of Johan Harren there is the absolute maximum, because with a pair of fives, when Johan Harren sees that flop, I mean, he's lost interest. And there it is. I think Rat Blue got the maximum there with a $1 bet on the turn.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Quick reminder of the contact details, why not? Just keep those emails coming, folks. Text poker and your question to 84222. 6-2 off, why is it a raising hand? That's a question you may be asking. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email address. Looks like Snap It took that one.
Well, ace-4 for Johan. He's well out of position here, so he probably won't fancy this. I don't think he should fancy it. Well, he does. He feels that he's got the measure of the table and he can do what he wants with this hand. I think that's very risky, personally.
So that has to work very often to pay for the times it doesn't work.
Absolutely, yeah, because he's only picking up 75. So he's got to make it work. What's that, 6 times? 1, 2, 4 times. Yeah, just to break even.
And that's ignoring the money he may well do if he gets into a dominated situation.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, so no, that's not a good play. I think if he's on the button, on the cut-off, then I don't mind the play, but he's just got to go through too many players. And you really, even on the button or cut-off, you don't want to do it as a standard move. It's sort of something you'll do every now and again. Well, Rat Blue has said, I like that flop. Only 1 card over my 4s, which is very unusual. And let's just see if you've got a queen. He's got 1 person who's checked to him already, so that suggests that he hasn't got a queen. He's only got 1 person to beat. So he made the right move. Snap it. Well, you'll like this from this position. Cut off, ace-jack, standard play. And he picks up the blinds, another 75 into his coffers.
Ooh, King-Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot, Mark, but here is ace-queen in the small blind. Now, does James's motto have a sub-clause to do with the situation?
Yeah, it has a sub-clause that you can do what you like with the king-queen when you're playing it.
That's nice to know. Well, it was the unraised pot when he raised, fair enough.
Well,
I'm sure there is a small blind sub-clause, because
the
small blind replies. He knows he's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that James would do anyway with his land of the unraised pot thing. He wouldn't just limp in with from the cut-off of king-queen. Ah. Oof. Well, that's... that is not a good play by Bodderfish, I've got to say. That's a nasty, nasty play by Bodderfish, and the reason being is that he's only going to get called by a better hand, and every now and again he will come across a better hand, and he's going to lose all his chips when it was very unnecessary. You know, a bet of 8 would have done the same job. And he would have let him off cheap had the guy re-raised him.
It's interesting because the 4 times the big blind bet is probably not a likely hand to move with aces. People are going to sort of downgrade it a bit or go up a bit, but you're still right, Mark. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be aces or kings, or maybe queens just decides to call and says, well, good luck to you if you've got a bigger pair. I mean, basically what you're saying is absolutely true, that it will get called by a better hand only.
Yeah.
But it's true that...
I think you've got to call with queens in that situation. Because of the, will aces likely to do that? That looks like an ace-king move, doesn't it?
It does look like an ace-king move.
Yeah,
right.
maybe jacks even.
Yeah, that's what you put them on. Or jacks, you're right, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and if you've got, you want to call in that situation, because whilst you might not want to do it in a tournament, in a cash game, if you've got a 1% advantage, and you figured yourself with a 1% advantage, you want to take it every time. Very rarely do you not want to take any when they've got an advantage. Well, Snappet's having a bit of a grind here. He's sort of just hovering around that 50 mark. Can't seem to get off it. Seems to have a little bit of trouble getting off that mark. Let's see if we can give him 1 or 2 pointers. So Kirkby with the King 9. He's decided that that's a button cut-off, or that's a cut-off still. And he figures, well, if you had anything wrap, you would have made the move. So I've got rid of the one I was really worried about. And, well, he's managed to get him off that as well.
Well played.
Incredible.
Well played. Yeah, and Rat Blue got the ace-queen collywobbles, and you can't blame him, you know, raised from the blind.
Yeah, the problem is he called, didn't he, in that situation? I'm not sure if that's...
If he'd raised, it's true, the way that the hand was, if he'd raised, of course, Kirkby would have let it go, I think. But
yeah. Difficult, though, for him to raise there, isn't it, Tom? Because of the amount. You know, if he's going to raise, he's got to make it 5 or 6. Maybe 5 he can get away with, to find out where he stands with his hand.
Yeah.
And the problem is, what happens if now Johan decides just to flat call? Is he flat calling with ace-king?
Yeah, it worked out very nicely for Kirkby.
Yeah.
He had a chance to, as you say, work out that Rat Blue could be pushed around. He probably didn't put him on ace-queen suited, I don't think. But.
No. It is a very difficult hand to play in that situation, though, isn't it? Because you're starting to commit a lot of hands to this, aren't you? A lot of chips to this hand.
How many hands have you got to commit?
Let's do it the other way around. You're going to commit a lot of chips to this hand, aren't you, with ace-queen suited? You know, you're basically saying that you want to risk a decent amount of chips, whichever way you do it.
Yeah, that's why he folded. He could see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't actually mind the fold there. Yeah, very, very tough one. Very tough one. It's not an easy one to deal with. Yeah, I think I favour slightly. I think the edge is with raising with it.
Wow, Kirkby's got a call from Johan Haren. Earlier on, Johan Haren made a huge raise and got called, and we said, brilliant. Kirkby's managed it with a king.
Oh, he doesn't like that, but he won't have to worry too much because he's got that set of kings. But he doesn't like these diamonds and spades appearing now. So I think he's going to start putting in a bet here. Yeah, he is, and I don't blame him. There's now a possible low straight on there as well.
Yeah, he was praying that Johan Haren was trapping with an ace. But
yeah, there's also in the high straight as well. There's a possible an ace-king there. So someone with a 10-jack might look him up. 10-jack suited, flush draw and inside straight draw.
All in bothers?
He likes dwelling up, doesn't he?
It's probably on a laptop.
Well, here's that situation we talked about a moment ago. The king-jack won before the cut-off, Tom.
Yeah.
Suited this time.
We both said we felt a bit more...
Yeah, a bit more easy with it. I think I would have made it 150 there. I'm quite happy to make it 150 in that situation. I don't want to commit too many chips to it. 2 is slightly too much for me. But look at that. Look at that. That's not worked out too bad at all. It's got a very nice hand for Kirkby now. He's got an up and down straight draw. He's got backdoor flush draw. Oh, the ace-queen says, I don't think you got it. Well, strong play by Kirkby.
Oh, crazy call from SG.
Yeah, the call wasn't good. He was just on autopilot there, wasn't he?
Yeah, you're right, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a belligerent call. And Kirkby gets a few more chips. Well played.
It was good play, yeah. I'm impressed with that play. And the reason I'm impressed with that play is because so far he's shown just a tight game. He's shown himself to be a tight player. He's made a couple of, solid laydowns. And he just shows you when he's got a read on it, he played it aggressively. Well done, very nice. But he read it for what he had. He had 2 overcards, inside straight draw, backdoor flush draw. He had a big hand, a pretty nice hand.
Well, Rat Blue perhaps not wanting to tangle with someone who's just lost chips in case he's got himself on tilt. So Rat Blue checks the flop. And
he'll like this SG, won't he? He's now got the inside straight draw plus 2 overcards. And I would have liked a bet there from SG with that hand. 2 overcards. Rat Blue has shown weakness with a 10 high board. So I think I would have liked to have bet that 8. personally.
Yeah, you can even represent the 9 on the river there where the straight card comes, but chose not to. Licking his wounds.
Yeah, I think that's really what it was. I think it was a case of licking his wounds. Just bad timing in that situation. He got the hands slightly in too early with the creative play.
That's the trouble with when someone's taken committed chips and then got pushed out of a pot, and you know that they're annoyed. You never know which way they're going to go. Are they going to lick their wounds and be bluffable, or are they going to be on tilt and not take a bluff line down at all?
Yeah, but isn't that interesting? Because that you almost know what's going to happen. Well, in the majority of cases, when you're in a tournament scenario. Because when you're in a tournament scenario, most players will not lick their wounds. They'll now try and get back those chips lost. Whereas in a cash game, they don't have that same type of mentality.
I don't know if I agree with you there, Mark, actually. I mean, certainly in tournaments you get players who sort of say, well, you know, I got fancy and now I'm going to go back to ABC poker and hope to pick up some hands.
Mm.
I mean, again, it depends on the player, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, either way you hate yourself, but, you know, it's sort of just slowing down a bit is an option, provided you've got chips.
Yep, yeah, that's a good point. Well, Botterfish has done it again. And I've got to say, Tom, this guy's going to lose his chips.
There's no draw there. I mean, it couldn't be a worse situation in which to massively overbet the pot. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's got a draw, he might just pay you to have a look at it if it's a big draw, or he might...
There's no draw there, is there?
There's
Like
no
you said.
draw at all.
So the only hand he can hope to get paid from is Jack 10. And you've got to ask yourself, will he call with Jack 10? The answer is probably not.
No, that's about it.
Well,
Oh, we're all coming down Bodder's fish like a ton of bricks, aren't we? Poor guy.
yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, you know, you want to. At the end of the day, you don't like seeing people lose their chips, but he's really on a crash dive there, isn't he?
He is, sooner or
Yeah.
later.
He is. Yeah, he's going to do them. He's going to do them.
Whether he'll do them by 2 o'clock, of course, remains to be seen. He may be sitting on a big pile of chips when we come back. Let's have a look at some emails. We've got one here from Ken Snappit. Yes, we did ask him to where am I? I'm over here. We did ask Ken to email in and say what the logic was behind that bet. I think we both quite liked, but that was called when he bet with the Ace-Queen and found himself getting called by Ace-King. Neither of them had any pair, and it was a nice bit of river action.
Yeah.
And I think Ken basically, it says what we thought he might be thinking was this. The reasoning behind my play with the Ace-Queen was this. I raised pre-flop, and he re-raised. When he didn't bet on the flop, I immediately thought he had something like Ace-King or Ace-Queen. If he had a high pair, I thought he would have bet on the flop, or indeed the turn. Because it was a 10 high flop, I didn't put him on trips because of the re-raise pre-flop. Fair enough. Because by the river I was even more convinced he had Ace-King, I thought by putting in the bet I did, there was no way that he could call. Because I raised pre-flop and just called the re-raise, I thought he would put me on a pair of some kind, therefore realising his Ace-King was no good. I couldn't believe he called, to be honest. We were surprised, but it was a good call, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think where you went wrong, Ken, is no bet on the turn. I think that was where the mistake was. I think had you followed it through with a bet on the turn and a continuation bet on the river, much more risky, but it made it plausible then. And then I don't think he would have called you for that equivalent pro rata bet, for the simple reason that he just didn't feel it was plausible that you could have the hand that you were trying to represent.
You see, I think that Snappit's check on the turn reveals a lot less about his hand than does his opponent, whose name I've forgotten, I'm so sorry. Because Snappit could conceivably be trap checking on the turn, but his opponent checks in position on the turn. Now he's pretty much
But the ball
said,
was
"I've
getting
got no
scary,
hand."
wasn't it, if I remember? I think there might have even been 3 clubs on there already as well at that point. So there's a 1-card straight, 3 clubs, 10 high.
That makes a difference, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the ball was getting scary, and I think if you had that made hand, you would have bet it on the turn. You wouldn't have let them come in. So, yeah, I think it was just the fact that you missed one bet on the turn, and had you carried out that bet and then followed it through with a meaningful bet on the river, I think you would have pulled it off. Then I think he would have bought your story. I just think a lot of players would have called you in that situation, because it just didn't make sense. But good try. I applaud your bravado.
Yes, we applaud it, and indeed the call. We don't have to call, it was just a loosey-goose call, or whether it was a great call, could be either. We can't tell from the outside, unfortunately. Olga Votavova, she has. Dear Mark, I'm in tears. I lost with ace-ace to Harrick's queen-queen. Gutted. Still, I was lucky early with my king-king and against ace-ace. All evens out, says Ollie. I thought you said Miss Votavova was a woman.
Ollie is generally a woman, I think.
Ollie?
Ollie?
Oliver?
Not Oliver. There are other names apart from Oliver, Tom.
What does Ollie stand for?
Olga?
I think it's Oliver, mate. I think you've been getting hot and steamy over nothing at all.
Yeah,
We'll have to take a break now. Come back very soon for more Poker Night Live. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. We're absolutely delighted and thrilled that you can come back to join us for more live internet poker. In a moment, sit and go of the century. Yes, it's me playing a $10 sit and go for a short period of time. Before that, a quick reminder of the contact details for the show. You can text your poker questions, queries, comments, quandaries quickly to us here by texting poker and your kumquat to 84222. Or you can email us, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Lovely jubbly. Well, there's no point delaying the forthcoming display of poker excellence or something like that. Maybe it's excrement, I'm not sure. One of those. Let's go and have a look at it. So I'm playing under Barry the Bully's moniker there because apparently he's won too much money recently on lucky outdraws, so I thought I'd blow a bit of it.
You would have changed that, yeah.
And I don't know many of these players because having mistakenly sat down at one of the fast structure games, I thought it was a bit too easy to get a seat. We saw Snuggy Bug playing earlier. But basically, terra incognita for me. I don't have any particular sit and go strategy normally, nor today. I'm just going to play it as it goes along. Oh, it's ace queen suited. No tough decisions there.
So, what was your thinking along this side? Were you going to take it easy to start off with, Tom, or were you going to get creative at the beginning?
Well, if I'm going to get king 9 off in a small blind, Mark, I mean, it's like
all
red flagged to a bull. No, I would have got all in if he'd raised me, but I thought I'd just, celebrate my arrival with a little nick there. Obviously, I've got a reasonable chance of having the best hand anyway. So,
yeah,
just limbering up there.
So, a little stretch.
Yeah. King, queen, I've got no idea what I'd do with this. I guess I must have raised it. 60?
That makes sense. Unraised pot and all that?
Yeah, rules, I hear. Oh, 70, there you go, pot size bet.
Yeah. Yeah, like the bet of 70, that's nice. And, well...
Chip leader.
Chip leader.
Whoa.
Joint chip leader.
Yeah, I know. Catobelpus. My nemesis. Let's have a look then.
Well, queens... It's ace king, should be interesting. The rock doesn't want to know if it's 7-8 suited.
I don't know why I'm dwelling up here, Mark. I wasn't intending to do so. Maybe I was
Too much typing.
cracking jokes with you or something. No, I don't type. I type afterwards. I have a look at what people have said after the game's finished.
Oh, okay.
But at the
How
time,
come?
Well, I'm concentrating on, eating my tea and biscuits. And also the play.
Well, this is not a bad board for Robo Squirrel. Not excellent with the ace or king being there, but he's gone for a check raise, I think, Robo. And I don't like it, to be honest with you, because you just don't have enough chips in this tournament to check raise. I would have preferred the initial bet to find out. The problem here is Tribus can be doing this with anything. He doesn't even have to have a king. And Robo, now, he doesn't know.
Get us away from it.
He could have done it with ace-jack in that situation. So, yeah, I would have liked Robo to put in some kind of bet. Sure, he would have lost it, the guy would have gone over the top. But I think there are just too many possibilities that Tribus could have done it with anything. With any hand, he could have done it with a pair of tens. You've checked to him, he thinks, OK, well, my tens must be good. And he bets, and you said, OK, let's let it go. So... whilst you did conserve and you made the right decision in that instance, I think in the long run, I think it's a losing play personally. But it's difficult in this level when you've only got 1,000 chips. They're all worth a fortune, aren't they? You can't give any of them away.
Well, it's all right at this level. You can have a bit of a flutter, but very quickly, your chip stack is denuded.
It is, yeah. Well, he's having a play now with his... you see, he makes it with the worst hand, by far the worst hand, in that situation. Yeah, he's got the queens that look fairly favourable, and he doesn't want to do it. Curious.
Well, I generally don't get involved with this hand, but I just got a feeling it's reasonably tight behind me,
Yeah.
as it were. So I stick in a little...
Ah, it's an optimistic bet there,
A
Tom.
little razor. Yeah, I just feel like stamping my authority on the table, and as you can see, it's fully respected by Dodgy Geezer, who calls me.
And the ace-queen folds. Gosh. Oh, look at that. He must be kicking himself.
Top respect there from the ace-queen, and that leaves it clear for me.
Yeah. Tough one, though. Like I was saying before, this ace-queen, in that situation, it's a very, very tough decision, especially with the amount of chips you get. I mean, we can see there that he would have flopped a monster and probably got a little bit out of Barry Bully, a.k.a.
Well, that fish.
Dr. Tom.
You probably got the lot, Mark.
So there's not much leeway here, that's the thing. Once you hit your ace, you think, well, I made this move to hit my ace and now I've hit it.
Yeah, he must get another bet out of me. I think I can get away from it, probably, but...
Yeah, but you're going to lose some chips, aren't you? In that?
Yeah. And that's one reason not to play it, but as I say, I just fancied a punt with it.
Yeah. Well, it worked out okay. Incredible. Well, Robo is, he's not betting, he's giving Dodgy every chance to catch his ace or jack.
Let's hope he's checking with a view to a check raise. Well, we'll find out now. Yep.
He's done it this time.
Nicely done. Very nicely done.
Well, he figures, well, you're in that position, I can't see how you can possibly have a 6. You might, if you've got a7, then good luck to you, or 7-8. Something along those lines. But it wasn't to be yet, ace jack. And Dodgy is now looking pretty thin. There's not a lot of opportunities here, is there? You make one mistake like that, or not even a mistake, you make a little move and it doesn't work, and now you've sort of lost half your stack.
Yeah, but he's got 25 big blinds, you know, he doesn't have to panic. And even when the blinds double, he'll have 8 hands of 12.5 big blinds. He's all right. Now, it's annoying, but
it doesn't look like 25.
No, that's right, and that's the mistake people make. They think, oh, I've got to
Yeah.
get it back, I've got to get it back, but they've got time to breathe.
Well, he's not listening to your words of wisdom there, Tom. He's decided to move in, well, limp in with the Queen 10 suited.
Yeah, and with that short, I mean, because he's shorter stack now, I just don't believe he's got a strong hand.
No.
I don't think he trapped there, so I raise him.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice then. Well.
I just want to take it off him.
Yeah.
And again, I'm raising with the best hand.
Yeah.
But,
Still, that was a good play. Very good piece of play there, I thought, by Dr. Tom. He read that situation well. Do you think he's just limping in with a suited connector or something?
Yes, I think because he's shorter stacked, he's going to be less inclined to go for a big slow play.
Yeah. Were you worried at any point that he might decide to push in on you?
Yeah, as soon as I put it in, I thought, oh, hang on, wait a minute, he might just say, oh, damn you, Dr. Tom.
Yeah.
I'm going for the double through. But then I can fold.
Yeah.
But it's something that occurred to me after I put the bet in. But
yeah, he probably just had enough to not do that. Had he had around 350, 400, he probably would have done it. Well, queens again for Robo. Let's see how he plays them this time. And it's up against the ace-king again. Will we see a king on this flop, and will he play it differently? Well, ace-king is minimum raised, and he's asking the question. Now, this would be interesting because Snuggy has asked a question to see where he's at by minimum raising, and now he's got his answer. So what is he going to do? And he makes a good play, and I like that.
doesn't look like ace-queen, does it?
No. No, it doesn't, no. And I like that play by Snuggy. So often I see that minimum raise being used well, what appears to be used well. In this situation, I think it's a good way to use it. Minimum raise to find out where you are. And they get the answer, and they don't listen. They just carry on, saying, OK, well, I got your answer, but I'll still play it anyway. I thought, if you're going to do that, why not make the move yourself in the first place? Why be the caller? So, yeah, but that was excellent play by Snuggy Bug. And that's all too often you see people with suited ace-kings and they just can't let it go. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're the worst call in the world, but once you've actually decided on what you're going to do, to not listen to what you've decided on your strategy for that particular hand.
Unless their strategy is basically to find a way of getting it all in before the flop, but that's not a brilliant,
That's true.
brilliant idea with ace king, because so
No.
often you're up against a pocket pair. And they call it a race against a pocket pair, but in the long run, you know, there's the fact that you're a small dog in that situation, and that all adds up. If you're
Yeah,
playing for
you are a
big
small dog in
pots.
that situation, absolutely. You've got to remember that you call it a 50-50, it's not a 50-50. I think there's, what is the odds on that, Tom? About 45, 55, something along those lines?
The cards
Probably
on
a
the
little bit
table
less because of the suitedness. So probably around 47, 53, something like that.
there. Ace king versus queens.
Yeah.
Do you say 53? Yeah.
53, 54, something like
I
that.
know a bit around about there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just about a swing of about 7 or 8%. I think a couple of those political parties yesterday probably would have taken that. That kind of swing. So not something that you want to give up too easily when you've got that advantage. And Robo Squirrel decided that he wasn't going to let what happened before happen again with his queens. So he learnt from that little bit of error and he's recovered to 1480s. That's nice. And Eat My Ace is wondering whether it's worth a call, and he's decided against it, and that's wise. Don't think he had a diamond in his hand, so can't really call.
King, I'm definitely in a stealing frame of mind here, but king 10 off in early position is not good enough, unfortunately.
No. You've just got too many people behind you, haven't you? 6 people behind you.
Yeah.
It's just too many. Too many to ride it through. Once again, if it was suited, would you have done it?
No.
No, it's still too early, isn't it? I agree.
Seven, 10 off, however.
Oh, Tom, you let me down there.
Yeah. I'm waiting for a real monster.
If it was 17 suited, maybe, I've decided. Well, Eat My Ace, he's got the rights to think that he might be ahead here. The only problem with this, well, he gets Robo to fold, the ace-jack.
We see, I'm learning myself here, the merits of putting bets with these medium aces.
Now, there is time to fold ace-jack, but difficult, but I don't think that's one of them. You know, button raise. You know, if you happen to have ace-king and ace-jack, or ace-queen and ace-jack right next to each other like that, then you've just got to accept that sometimes, you know, there's fate. But I don't think you can just keep throwing it away in that situation to a button raiser. Because, you know, he could be doing it with anything. As he was doing well. He was doing it with a low ace, an ace-8 or whatever it was. Well, whoever's got the balls for this one, she'll be putting out a bet.
Did you say balls?
Yeah, that's really what it is, isn't it? I think that's
Yeah,
a bit.
the Queen listens to this show.
I think it's a bit heavy though. The bet was a bit much. But,
Heavy balls.
Yeah, they were a bit.
Pendulous and swinging.
Talk about balls. What happened to that iron balls? Do you remember him? He used to-
Yeah, I do, yeah. Just play on the big table.
I wonder if he still plays on there. Well, that was a quick fold round to Mr. Tribus. So we're up to 2040. This is blind start off 1020. Every 10 hands they go up. We must be nearing the end of this 2040 level now. So we've had about 20 hands coming up to it, 18 to 20 hands. So we've got a spade draw for Eat My Ace. And what's all... No, he won't like his 3-2, I'm sure of it. Not with the 2 spades on there. He can't improve his 3, can't improve his 2 without another spade coming out there on a couple of occasions. So he's losing 2 of his outs. And he decides to let it go. And that's wise, as he would be to fold middle pair in that situation. So percentage of pre-flop folds. Snuggy Bug up the top there. He's folding 94% of the time, gosh. And Barry Bully, living up to his name, he's down the bottom end there. Well, I don't know who I've got sitting next to me, but...
I don't know. I mean, 78 is pretty reasonable, isn't it?
22%.
Eight-handed table, it's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Look, come back quick, because I'll make a raise with deuce 6.
I think his timing might be a little bit off here, Tom.
It's funny you say that. I asked Cat what he would have folded. He has a big old dwell up, and he says he'd fold 9s to me there. So it's just timing, that's all. But my bluffing premium's high at this point, I know, and I'm going to bet any hand here if it's folded round to me. Happens to be 2-6, doesn't matter what it is. But unfortunately, yeah, if he's got 10s, of course that's strong enough to play back. But you can see the dwell up there. It's not nice playing back with 10s. He says that I'd have folded 9s, and I believe him.
It has been a very tight table. We've seen some big laydowns with ace-jack and ace-queens being laid down. I mean, twice we've seen ace-jack laid down. Once we've seen ace-queen being laid down. So we've seen all sorts. And Snuggy, who was top of that list a moment ago with pre-flop folds, wasn't going to fold that one. The big hand of Jack 5, and he's got it again. He liked it so much the first time, they gave it back to him. Ace-queen for Dodgy Geezer. He says, enough's enough. I can't take this anymore. I'm all in with my ace-queen. If you can beat it, then that's just bad luck. And they can't, so they fold, and he gets the chips. 3-4 for Snuggy.
So down to 10 blinds here, Mark. But there's too many people in this game now. 8 people left, blinds 40-80. Everyone's getting a bit short-stacked.
Yeah, well, I remember the very first one that I played with this, the blinds went all the way to 163-20 with everyone still in.
Oh, God.
So you've got a bit of a way to go still, Tom, possibly. So, yeah, it's frightening to think about it at this stage.
Well, look, we've changed tables. Can we have our table back, please?
Oh, those backroom boys, you can't leave them for a minute, can you? You blink your eye for a minute and look what happens. Dr. Tom changes to Magic Rat.
Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to hide some shocking play on my part. But believe me, all the plays are shocking and this won't work. Oh, we're in view.
How come you change your name? Are you allowed to do that? Change your name midway?
To Magic Rat?
Yeah.
Well, he's got more money than Barry the Bully. It's almost broke.
Yeah. Oh, OK. So that's probably a good reason to do it. Yeah.
We
might be a better player as well.
We do hope to get back to the stunning performance that you were seeing there. But in the meantime, we'll take you to a cash game.
Okay.
It's the same one as before. We should have a special test card made up, I think, of you and me with a sort of blackboard.
Yeah, we could do. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, interesting, because Bodderfish is still... this is a guy that we said would lose those chips in one of those instances of madness. And it hasn't happened yet. In fact, he's accumulated a few. But that's what happens, isn't it, with those situations, Tom? You accumulate a few, accumulate a few, accumulate a few, lose it all. That's generally what happens, isn't it? Unless you happen to hit the person who's not got many chips.
You hit them?
Well, not hit them, but as in hit them per se, but, you know, hit them in terms of hit them with your chip stack.
OK, a bit like Ian Jury did once.
With the rhythm sticks, that's it. But I think there's not many people out there, one of our viewers, who'd probably remember that.
Oh, Tom. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. We've got a big following in the sort of late 30s region. Of course, I only heard that stuff on the revival phase.
We've got Limp City here, Tom, where everyone wants to have a little look. And what happened there? How did Power, he was in there for the big blind?
I don't know, I'm surprised you haven't gone back to my sit and go suddenly.
Well, and look at the hand he would have had, Tom. A pair, bottom pair, plus flush draw, plus some backdoor stuff going on.
Do you think he folded by mistake?
Yeah, he must have done. He must have just chicked the fold button.
Yeah, sometimes you can do that.
And, gosh, if another diamond appears here, especially if it's like the 4 of diamonds, he won't be too happy. Oh, he's now
too happy.
And funnily enough, he's probably praying now that another diamond hits just to make him feel a bit better about his 5-3. Obviously, if another diamond comes, it means he's only got a 5 high flush, and he would have been too impressed about that. Wow, look at that. He would have got paid off here, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Against the trips.
Yeah, Snap It would have given him some money. And Powers has missed an opportunity to potentially double through. Or certainly increase, yeah, in fact, double through. He's up against two players, so there's a good chance he would have doubled through. With the betting up to that point.
Well, I think the Dr. Tom, Barry the Bully sit and go is on its way, but let's just have a quick look at an email here. We've got one here from Johan Haran. He says, "Hi Mark and Tom, about my set of nines, my overbet on the river was called." Do you remember what he's talking about?
Yeah, you were playing at the time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I must have missed it then. I must have thought that he laid it down. Because he had, I think the guy had top pair, and he looked very uneasy with it. And I thought he folded it. Okay, my mistake, my misread of the hand. Thanks for letting me know, Johan. I apologise. It was a good bet in that case. I was a bit worried that he put an overbet. The flop was about 10. He had a set of nines. There was a potential flush on the board now. And he now puts a bet in on a river of 12. And I thought it was a too high because I didn't think that he was going to get paid on it. And I thought he folded, but it went so quickly I must have missed it. And he obviously paid him.
Second time he's done that because he got paid earlier, big time.
Yeah, so yeah, nice one then. Nice one. You obviously knew your player and I didn't, so well done.
Great stuff. Right, let's go back and see how Barry the Bully is doing. He's been possessed by the spirit of me. Though what possessed him with some of the moves, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, where is... In fact, Tom, I hope you don't mind, but can we switch to the cash game? Because I was quite enjoying it.
We can, don't believe me, it won't be going anywhere in the time I've got left on this earth. Hang on a minute, I've got 1,080. I had 800 when we last saw me.
Yeah, how did you get those?
I did some brilliant steals.
Oh, this is the 2-6. Oh no, we're about 3 or 4 hands behind here, aren't we? From where we left it. Okay, so...
Ah, you're right, yeah.
So do you do your...
why are we repeating this move? We've seen this move. This is...
Oh, we like to see it again.
No.
I think it's good for our viewers to see.
Just remember, if Cat had had nines, it would have been a brilliant bluff. That's how close it was. Or if I'd flopped a straight, it would have been a brilliant semi-bluff.
Now, I actually like to see the point where you change into Magic Rat. So will that be repeated?
We'll see. That's the great thing about Poker Night Live is no one really knows what's going to happen. So yeah, oh well. Queen King, unraised pot.
Yeah, about to be raised.
And it rules. Down it comes. I think this is where I turned into Magic Rat, wasn't it?
No, not yet.
Oh no, I had 800.
Yeah, you need to lose a few more chips first. So Dodgy is going to just push his chips in. And like I said last time, if you can beat that, then good luck to you. It's getting close.
What's getting close?
To you getting 800.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. It's all coming back to me.
Well, Robo Squirrel says, I think you're at it this time. So interesting, isn't it? He folded the ace-jack, but doesn't want to fold the queen-jack.
Yeah, it's situational.
Yeah, but it was the same guy. And the same raise, the same situation.
Ah, but, you know, second time round, it's necessarily a different situation. How does Cat like his ace-9 off? Enough to pinch my big blind?
Well, he's got 4 people behind him. A little bit chancy, but probably not a bad... I think he can go either way with that hand, in that situation.
What a rock. Well, look, he let 6-9 take it.
So, eat my ace. Says, well, I didn't win the last one, so I have to try and win that one back. So, 7-8 for eat my ace. He's in trouble here if he does make a little move with it. But he's got Robo behind him with the 9s, and he won't let that go.
Yeah, I was praying someone would raise, because I knew that if they didn't, I'd probably have to make a move with the 4-5.
Well, he would have been in good stead. He wouldn't have been able to call you, Trebus.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, I didn't want to have to make it, though. but I thought I might have to.
Well, the nine's folded. What's
Oh.
going on there?
Well, there you go. And I think I fold. Or do I raise? I don't call. I raise. That's right. I put in a very cheap raise. That's what I do.
So, Robo Squirrel, wonder what's going on. He must be multi-tabling. And don't know what happened there, but he's folded the pair of nines, or he got disconnected or something. Wow. So that was a little bit of a cheeky play from you, Tom.
Well, Trubus has played very tight. And I've got reasonable sort of bluffing credit. So I think it's one of those rare cases where a minimum raise might well be the right bet. If he's got a hand, then I'll find out about it cheaply, and he may well just let it go on principle, ignoring the pot odds. When you think you're up against someone who's not really paying too much about attention to pot odds, keep the bluff super cheap.
Yeah, good point.
And I think it's got to be followed through here. And a bit less cheap, but still cheap, because Snuggybug also has been playing very tight. And I think they'll give me respect, which they do.
Yeah. Was that the right size bet, or do you think, looking back, you would have liked to have made it a bit more?
No, I like it, because I still feel, again, that those players are going to move with a big hand, and otherwise just let it go.
Snuggybug as well, yeah. Well, we saw that Snuggybug folds 94% of hands, so yeah. Yeah, you've read that situation perfectly. Well, blinds are 40 at 80. They're starting to be a bit more damaging now. On average, it's about 8%, 8.5% of the average stack. Oh, no one's got anything here. And who's going to make a move? Well, the cat has picked up a pair of fours on the end there. And I can't imagine him betting this. This is a good, it's not really a value bet because you can't get called with anything. Yeah, no one's going to call you with king high. That's really all you're beating, apart from a pair of twos. So not a good value bet there in that situation.
Fair enough from Dodgy. Perfectly legitimate play there. 4 big blinds, less in fact. And folded round to him, well, that's an opportunity, and he can move there with a wide range of hands, very wide range of hands. Sevens, well, look at them, here they are. Looking promising, and I fold them. I don't want to play those out of position with that size stack. Smaller, I go all in. Bigger, and I've got options, but I've got exactly the wrong size. I don't think if I move all in there, I don't want to do it. Because with so many players behind me, possibility of a higher pocket pair is just too strong.
And really what you're saying there, Tom, is you don't want to call with it, because if you call with it and you get raised, you have to now throw it away. If you call with it, that's 16% of your stack.
Yeah.
So there's no real option for you to throw it away, but to throw it away, principal option.
It's all in or throw it away, and I've got too much to go all in.
Yeah. Now, the only one thing I will say, Tom, just giving it a little bit more thought, is I think maybe all in would have been the better play. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that you are in early position. You're about to lose 240 of your stack in the blinds unless you pick up a hand, which now puts you on sort of 750, 760. And that is now perhaps less scary for any of the other players.
It's okay. It
What do you think?
gives me 4 or 5 big blinds, and that's big enough for any of these players. That's scary. I've left myself with enough to move when the button goes past me.
Right.
And it's a very important consideration. What will my stack be like once the blinds have gone past? But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
So you're not worried about your stack dwindling?
Not to the sum it will be when the button goes past.
Right, okay. Well, look at that. He's let him in cheap. Not that cheap. It cost him a few chips on that one. Well, Jack 4 reappears, and he seems to have a thing for Jack 4. We saw him have it a moment ago.
It's going to work.
Was it him or was it Katub? Yeah, it did work. So Dodgy has looked at that approaching blinds and said he wants that before the blinds come round.
Well, this is where the pain begins, because I can't get in. And having let this is a risk, of course, as you say, maybe I should have moved with the sevens. I still don't like moving all in with the sevens, though, because I'm so horribly beaten when I'm called by a
Yeah, I think if you had
pair.
a few more hands before the big blind, or the big blind and small blind weren't going to affect you that much, or it left you with perhaps 850, 900.
No, I'm very happy with my chip stack. I mean,
Right.
I think there's plenty to worry all those people at that table. The problem is I just can't get it in. As you see here, as you're going to see, I just don't pick up a hand that I can move with, except in situations where someone else moves first. And I've left myself hostage to that, but that's always a possibility in poker. So I'm sure the bet will be respected, but I can't get it in.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, will it be respected though, because they know that you're starting to get under pressure?
But look at all these guys, Mark. Who's not under pressure? Mr. Trebus is a rock. Eat my ace, okay. I mean, is he going to want to blow more than half his chips on a 50-50 shot? I mean, I can apply plenty of pressure here.
That's very true. Because no one's got mountains of chips, it means that that 760 is equally as important to them. Well, look at that. He's hit his 2-pair, although the at the end there nullified it to a different 2-pair. And another interesting hand coming up. Jack 10 suited. Got 5 people behind you. And you decide that's the hand.
Yeah. Because the blinds go up in 2 hands, and then I will be eaten up by them.
Yeah. And let's see if what you're saying is true. Will he fold the 9s? He said he was going to fold 9s to you, Tom. Not quite true, was he? Was he telling porkies?
Maybe it was on the previous game. Well, he knows I'm desperate now, but I still think the call's a bit iffy when someone else has come in.
Jack or 10 for Barry.
And that's it. He's out.
Sir, Barry Bully. Bit unfortunate there, especially the turn gave you lots of outs. A Jack, a 10, a club. Just not to be.
Yeah, I mean that hand is when I've got it's like 4.5 big blinds, 5 players behind me. It's not ideal. I'd rather have on the button, of course, but it stands up well against the sort of hands that call it, like Ace King 9-9. In fact, if I'm going to choose a 3-way pot against 2 decent hands, that's about as good as it gets. So I didn't think twice when I picked up the Jack 10. All of it went in.
Well, those 9s have reappeared.
I think I went out 7th because the ace, whoever it was, went out Ace King had slightly fewer chips. Or maybe not. Equal 7th, who knows? It doesn't matter, I didn't make the money.
Tom, that gets a bit worrying when you're starting to fight over whether you came 7th or 6th.
It's huge, Mark, it's huge. Bragging rights. I wasn't the first out.
Well, we're going to see a bit of a disaster happening here because Eat My Aces has got 10s. He's going to like that. He's committed himself to this. The rock isn't going to fold queens. Well, I'll say he's not. I hardly think he'll fold queens. He doesn't. Snuggy Bug is about to get out of the way. He does. So queens against 10s. Only a 10 will save Eat My Aces now.
Or a 9.
Or a 9, yes, a 9. And it doesn't arrive. So the rock doubles through. You'll be pleased about that with those queens.
Wow, big fold there with Ace 9. Very big fold. I don't know how he can do that, Mark. Is he trying to get through to the money? He's got 4 big blinds. 4 big blinds. Trebus folds on the button with Ace 9 when it's been folded round to him.
Yeah, no, it's too much, isn't it? Well, I think he figures that Eat My Aces is on his way out. And now maybe Snuggy will be on his way out.
I think it's a speculative play. I mean, that's 2 things have got to happen. There's no guarantee Eat My Ace won't double through here.
Yeah.
He's playing to get past the bubble, but I don't like it. Ace 9's big hand in that situation.
We need a 9 or a 4 or a 5, I think might do it. Yeah, that doesn't arrive.
It's worked. Trebus has worked a treat for him, but still, I think risky.
Yeah, it's worked out okay. So Trebus has that 3rd spot locked up. He's now looking to see if he can wangle it into 1st or 2nd. So Queen 8 on the button for Trebus. He's hoping the other 2 can damage each other. And that's a shame there because I think he had a good opportunity to pick up 480. Has a scary amount of chips he's got, 1220. But it's not going to be any scary in the next couple of hands because he's not going to have hardly anything left. Well, 8-3 against Jack 9, and is he likely to push here? He is, yeah. He doesn't believe him for the 10, doesn't believe him for an ace.
Still a good bet though, gutsy bet, no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's only really worried about he's not worried about the ace because he's on the big blind. He thinks if you had the ace on the big blind, you would have raised pre-flop. So you don't have an ace, just if you happen to have a 10, then that's just my bad luck, I guess. So Trevus with a Queen 9 suited. Cattlebulpus. Oh, what's Trevus going to do here? He's committed a lot of chips to this.
I think he's going to fold.
He's getting 3 to 1 his money.
Well played from the rock. There is aggression and its benefits. Well, that's what Trevus wanted, to pick up a hand he could now move all in himself, but he stands a grave risk of getting called. Cattlebulpus would be correct to call this, I think, I'm certain. But
Yeah,
he's probably
I think
getting
so.
odds
I
even
think he
if
has to, yeah.
sees the matchup.
Well, ace, the 8 hasn't helped him. Hasn't helped Cat, that is.
Trevus doubles.
Yeah. 2 pair for Trevus.
You move there with Mark with King 8? And 5.5
What, from
big ones?
Trevus?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, for me it's marginal. I probably move.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the problem is the blinds are coming away at me now. I'm going to have to get them next hand. I'm thinking 480 out of my stack of, 1700. I can't afford to lose that, really. So, yeah, I probably do. I'm really in the money, so...
Oh, get out of it. Let them bust each other. Or one of them bust the other. And Cat is, the way his mind is working as well, how likely is he to have the ace? Oh, he smelt something. If he gets away from this, it'd be terrific, because he's still got second pair there. But if he folds this, it will be a brilliant fold. Absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, that's a brilliant fold. I don't know how he makes it, but he does. That is very good indeed. He was read his player right. He's decided that the rock is going to check an average sort of hand or no hand on the turn. He's not going to bluff.
Well, the King-Queen. And he's called with a 7-8. Oh, loose call.
Yeah, well, I don't see the logic. Got away from the last one.
Needs a 6, 7 or 8, and he hits it.
Got lucky.
Now, 7-8, Tom. I keep telling you, he had faith. The boy had faith.
If that's the reason you like 7-8, Mark.
It always wins, Tom. Every time we sit here and we discuss the same thing over and over again. I don't know how many times you have to you have to see it before you know, they say seeing is believing, but in some cases it's like seeing is not believing.
I'd rather fold it than win with it like that.
Would you?
No, but I mean, that's the Poker Night Live line.
Well, look at that. Gosh.
Oh dear.
That is nasty, isn't it?
Good die young.
Well, Trevus goes out on a horror show there. 2 9s on the end. What a way to go. Gosh, 9-9.
9-9 is what he's saying.
Well, Rock is now taking it to Puss. And he's in a good situation here, Puss, if he can take call here, but he's thinking about it. 2,600 more to call. That'll leave him with 1,500. How good is my Jack 8 in this situation? He can't be that comfortable with it, and he does fold. I don't blame him. There'll be better opportunities, he says. And that wasn't one of them. Well, he might decide to... No, he doesn't. I was going to say he might decide to make a move here with this Puss, but fortunately for him... Oh, this could be the hand.
Yeah. Must all go now. Oh, well, if they play it for a flop there... What's the point?
We're not going to see any flops. It's all going in. You might as well just stick it all in.
I think the pumping bet from Cat with the 9s was very strange there. He'd rather take the pot there and then or see it cheap.
I don't understand why... He goes, well, if I'm losing, I might as well just let the guy... Well, he's let him catch up, hasn't he? Gosh. I think Puss just believes in his own mind that the guy's got an ace. I think that's what's happened.
But if the guy's got an ace, he moves all in before the flop.
No, I'm talking about post-flop, which is why he hasn't bet.
But I mean, why isn't the rock gone all in pre-flop with an ace?
I don't know. You're right, certainly doesn't make a lot of sense.
So he's up against the ropes and trying to get himself out of it, and the rock there, yeah, makes a good call. His kicker's pretty awful, but yeah, he's got a king. Very good chance of being ahead with the king.
Yeah, you like the call.
Yeah.
What was it? How much more was it to call?
About 1,200. And there's about 1,200 in the pot. Yeah, I like the call.
I think it's a bit more. I think it's about 19, isn't it?
The thing is if I...
It's 5,000 in the pot. I think it's about 1,900. 1,900.
Cat only had about 2,200. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I still like the call, to be honest.
2,200 minus the 320. Yeah, that's right. It would have been. Yeah, would have been about 1,900 more. Oh no, 19 minus another 3. So it's about 1,600 in fact.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, 15, 1,600. Anyway. Well, the rock has made a move here, and well, Cat has to decide whether it's now or never. We decide it's now. Well, oh, he's just overtaken him, has he? No, he hasn't. Sorry, what am I talking about? He needs a 10, an ace or a queen, and that's not it. So the rock is going to take that pot, and Cat won't be happy there. Although he's moved into the lead at the moment, as long as a jack doesn't appear, or a king. It doesn't. No one has diamonds, so no flushing for anyone. And the Cat's back up to 320.
He's still only got a quarter of the big blind. So it's going to be out of his hands for some time yet. And he's doubled through, and he's still immediately all in before the flop. On this hand. And he's having a good old run, isn't he?
He is. He needs a king or just a king now. Oh, look, it's been nullified there. Oh dear, that was nasty at the end there. He hit his 6, and it's just not good enough on the end there, Tom.
2 pair on the board.
Yeah.
Queen kicker. Marvellous. Well, that was absolutely terrific. I particularly liked my play with the 6-2, which got called. But there you go. You can't win them all.
No, you can't.
Or many of them. We're going to have a look now at a cash game. Yes, 25.50. Same as before. Well, you see, Bodice Fish come back in just in time to see him overbet the pot by, what was it, 160 to 1?
Yeah, lucky, like I said, that Powser didn't have enough chips to take them all.
Wasn't it? Exactly that.
Yeah. So, but he's lost some of them, and he's gone back up to 50. He's
topped up.
Topped up, yeah.
Bit strange, really, because his style of play is better suited to short stacks. And John Boy Rebel, who I haven't seen for a while, comes in with a raise, of all things, with King 8 off. Well, I don't think Dream Nice is going to take that laying down. The question is, does he raise to find out where he is, or does he call? A bit too much.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Well, once again, it's a very, very risky play.
Yep.
Well, he's thought on that occasion he doesn't have it. For some reason, he maybe read it, felt it. So, Rat Blue, what's he going to do with his King Queen? He's got 5 players still behind him.
But it's an unraised pot, Mark. You know what that means?
What does it mean? What should
King,
he do?
Queen rules in the land
So
of the
what should he
unraised
do in
pot.
that situation?
Should put in a minimum bet, as you can see.
Okay.
And get raised by a dominated hand, and then fold, probably.
So why would you want to put a minimum bet in that situation?
Well, I wouldn't, Mark.
But James would?
Well, I don't know. I mean, all this thing, James' motto doesn't tell you what to do. It just tells you where you are, and then you choose your own modus operandi.
Okay, so why raise it then? Because he's still got so many people behind him. Might as well just call.
He could do that. He could do anything he likes, but he knows that he rules in the land of the unraised pot. That's what he needs to know.
Yeah, but the pot's hardly had a chance to develop. So you don't know if it's unraised or not, really, at this point, apart from one or two players.
I see. So the pot's got to be...
It's uncultured at this point.
It's prepubescent. Completely undeveloped pot.
So King 10 out drawing rat blue. King 10's going to take this one. Rat blue tops up back to 50. And some money being... Oh, Butterfish has gone.
Well, he's fed up with us slagging off his play, isn't he?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Well, I just think that he, didn't mean any harm by it, Butterfish. I just think that you're leaving yourself open to losing it all in one hand. That was the problem, I think. By putting all your chips at risk with mediocre hands, or hands that could possibly be susceptible to losing, you were just putting your chips at risk. So it wasn't meant to affect you adversely, just to help you out so you don't lose your chips in that fashion.
He's probably gone off to the $1, $2 game to do the same thing.
Because possibly. Well, Argyle Jack has got the King Jack, doesn't want to know. Don't blame him. Under the gun limper, or razor rather. Rat blue can't do anything with that hand.
Lovely jubbly. Well, time for a few emails before we take a much-needed break here. We've got one here from Duke2006 who says, "Evening, gents. Do you think that really world-class players will ever regularly win the World Series main event again? My opinion is no, and the reason for this is because there are too many bad players taking part in the event. It's easy for a world-class player to beat good players, or to beat one bad player, in my opinion, but when you have 3 or 4 on your table at a time, I think it negates the really good players. The internet is mainly to blame, as I think it has created an all-in culture, and good play post-flop has become secondary. I think many of the recent players who've won the event tend to prove my theory. Robert Varconi, Chris Moneymaker in particular. I think the event has lost a lot of the prestige these last few years, and I think if poker wants to take the steps to become a game, stroke sport, that gets the respect it deserves, something should be done to restructure the WS main event, as 6,000 to 10,000 players is a bit of a mockery. What do you think? Top show guys." Thank you, Duke. What do you think, Mark Banin?
I think it's very hard to say who can actually win the main event, whether it's going to be a top player. What I will suggest, and my belief is that you will get 2 or 3, maybe 4 good players on the final table. Now, whether one of those wins it is another thing. But I think, you say that there's a lot of bad players, and I agree with you. There are a lot of bad players out there, a lot of internet players that really just got lucky or whatever to get to that stage. However, by the same token, you've got to appreciate there's also a lot of dead money in there, which, if a good player happens to capture some of it, will be very hard to sort of, prize it off him again. So I think there are so many good players nowadays that I think you'll find that the final table will have perhaps 3 or 4 good players on there, very good players, and whether one of them can now turn that around into a win is another thing. But I think that's my prediction.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a contradiction in terms that a good player can't beat a bad player. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me. I mean, sure, if they do move all in, then that poses problems for a good player because they've got to risk the whole stack in one go. But if there's a reasonably large number of good players in the tournament, the chance that they're all going to get knocked out going into an all-in situation where they're a clear favourite against some muppet is tiny. It's tiny. So you can always exploit poor strategy of a bad player. I think probably some of these internet qualifiers who get screamed at and shouted at by the poker brats out there are in fact playing quite good poker. It's just that they're making good calls that the pros don't expect them to be capable of making.
The other thing with that, of course, is they said they're talking about the restructuring of the main event. Whilst they haven't restructured the main event, what they have done now is they've added another event, which is probably, I think, in the long run, going to take over the main event. And that is the 50,000 horse event, which is basically for horse. It's basically Hold'em, Omaha, Raz, 7-card stud, and 8 or better.
Yeah.
So what that means is that, and because it's so much money and it's across the poker network, it does mean that you should find that the best player will win that one. And I think that will soon be the main event in the time to come.
We will see. It depends if the TV companies understand 8 or better, which is yet to be seen. But also restructuring the event won't change the all-in move, of course. That will still be there. Now, we've come to the end of our 3rd section, so we hope you'll hang around for the last stretch, as it were. We'll be back in about 7 minutes for the final leg of Poker Night Live. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Thanks for sticking around. We've got a few emails to cover here before we take you down to the multi-table tourney final. We have one here from Mr. Trebus, who saw taking third place in the sit and go. He says, "Hi, what a way to get busted with American Airlines. Just goes to show when you play tight aggressive, you can still get sucked out." I agree with you, Mr. Trebus. "See you down the river," he says. "At least I finished in the money. Hey, Dr. Tom." I'm liking this guy much, much less.
Yeah, especially his little wink at the end there.
Whinging about his bad beats. I mean, we played them very badly, I thought, those days. Let's see what else we've got here. Mad Nev.
Oh yeah, he was playing, what was he playing? Was he playing on the cash games? We saw him somewhere, didn't we? I remember.
It might be the multi-table, because he was talking about the MTTs here. He's saying, "Evening, guys." Oh, another preemptive bad beat story. I think, no. He says, "Just to let you know, if you air the final table, of course we will, first hand, we may. I had 5-5, raised Howick balls, re-raised all in, and I called. I didn't mean to, had too many things open. Never again, just wanted to let you know so I don't get into trouble. I'm devastated." Well, in fact, he's devastated, according to this, which is even worse. Well, we wouldn't... oh, dear, poor guy. You see, these people are so worried about us slagging him off that they actually text the show to warn us. But there you go. Oh, well, there's no guarantee.
I don't blame him, yeah.
He also said, "Mark, I sent an email last week about organising a Presenters Go Heads Up feature. I don't know if anyone mentioned it to you. The idea was once a month or so, two of the presenters play a heads up match. I think it would be great for learning purposes. Great show, keep it up." Not a bad idea at all. Difficult to teach heads up, isn't it? So what better way to do it than to do it?
It is, yeah. I'm not sure if I want to give quite all my heads-up secrets away live on TV. That's not something I might be too in favour of, but we shall see. Maybe, you never know.
What else have we got? We've got one here from Space Cowboy, who says, "Hi guys, could you please recommend a good book for intermediate advanced tournament poker? And Tom, do you know any baboon trivia?" Do you know, I'll pass the poker one over to you. Do you do books, Mark? Do you read
books? Yeah,
Can
I
you
do.
read?
I have. I think there's. I won't go into my topic on books, but I have read books before. A good book for intermediate advanced tournament poker. Well, I guess everyone tells me that I read part of it. I haven't finished reading it. That the Harrington books are good. I believe he's got 3 out now, so you've got 3 books to go through if you want to. You're pulling faces, Tom. Are you
Not that good. I mean, they're all right.
They're okay.
Well, I've only read the first one.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably the better one.
Is it?
I think so.
Everyone says the second one's better.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. What do I know?
Well, I don't know.
So, okay, it's all right. What do you think?
Well, I don't think tournament play is that different from cash play. So, I mean, any book on poker, if it's a good book, is good for anything.
Yeah. I mean, one that I would say that certainly helped me at the beginning of my tournament career, so this is not really intermediate advanced, but one that helped me at the beginning of my tournament career was the Sklansky one, Advanced Tournament Play. Now, I don't think that's, whilst it's called advanced, I don't think it's for an advanced player. Or even a good intermediate player. I think it's when you're leading up to that intermediate level, then it's a very good book and it can give you some good ideas and some good theory. That's one that particularly helped me, and I had some success by using it and playing that kind of style to a degree. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's certainly not as difficult as it sounds. I mean,
no, it's not.
Like all their books, Advanced 7-card stud is pretty basic already. I mean, you can't imagine what the non-advanced one would be. I mean, what is it? 7-card stud is 7 cards? I think they're trying to flatter their readers.
Possibly. He did, in fact, say at the beginning of the book, doesn't he? If you're not an advanced player or you're not a good player, don't read any further, didn't he?
I know. I mean, how stupid do they think we are? Well, it's a rhetorical question. Don't text in, please. Yeah. You could give Super System a go as well, because that's quite famous.
Oh, be careful with that one.
Yeah, people get into trouble, I think.
Yeah, be very careful with Super System.
If you're for Hold'em. You are not Doyle Brunson, you know. So.
Yeah. Before you know it, it will turn you into a wild man. The other sections are very good on Super System, I find. In fact, they're better than the Hold'em ones. Mm-hmm. Just the Hold'em ones are very, very difficult to pull off. But yeah, it's a good book, though.
Baboon trivia. I don't know. There's nothing trivial about baboons. The big patches on their... Well, everyone's fascinated with baboons' bottoms whenever they want to talk about baboons. They're only interested in the bottoms. But the swelling up... I like talking about baboons. The swelling up thing is when the females are in heat in estrus, but baboons permanently have patches on their bottom, and they're nice. Didn't get that close to them. But they're striking grey patches on their bottoms, and they're called ischiocallosities. There you go, ischiocallosities, which is quite a nice word, I think.
Is it?
Yes.
Ischial callosity.
Ischial callosities.
Okay.
Sounds like a character from Star Trek, doesn't it?
I don't know what it sounds like, but I think it sounds like baboon's bottoms to me.
Also a nice word, phrase. Finally, we've got one here from Olga. She says, how many men do you know called Olga? Your reading skills are way off, Tom. Great show, Mark. Olga. Kiss, kiss, she says.
Kiss, 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 kiss
I
back.
think she's a bloke, Mark. Don't get too... I mean, we haven't seen the photo. And even then, you can't always tell.
Well, apparently they've got one in the back room.
Of Olga?
Apparently. This is what I've been told. Yeah, apparently she sent one through.
Really?
Apparently so.
Oh well. Okay. That's it on the email front, so keep them coming. In the meantime, let's go down to the MTT. So we've missed the fives. The seat there must be the seat. The empty seat must be the one previously occupied by Space Cowboy. Was it? No, it was Mad Nev. So this super value-added tournament. It's about $700 the first prize, I think. Not bad at all. Blinds at 1,000, 2,000, and looking around, well, there's going to need to be a bit of thinning, I think, by the end of certainly the next level. But certainly for a number of these stacks, it's looking at like a raise of a bet. We'll have to set them all in. Who's your money on, Mark?
Well, good question. It's could be anyone at this stage, couldn't it? The blinds are... I mean, Burrito's going to have trouble, although I must admit, I did like the way he played earlier, Burrito, so he impressed me. Hoik Balls is a strong player. Carados has been there all the way along, hasn't he, with a chip lead. Dead Spiders has played well. I mean, I don't know 2 or 3 of those players, and that's Moface, Spud and 666, but certainly the other 4, any one of those could take it. Even Burrito with his short stack, I think. He could double up, and that would put him in good stead.
Well, at the end of the next, when the blinds go up next, they've just gone up. When they go up again, we'll make a choice each, shall we? That would give us 12 minutes of information.
Yeah, why not? I mean, Burrito is in a bit of a tough spot because even if he doubles up, he still hasn't even got 10 times the big blind, so he's going to find it the hardest by far, apart from Moface, but I still like the way he played earlier. I thought he made 1 or 2 very good plays. But we have got some very good players there. As I said, Hoik's been playing well, Dead Spiders played a good game, Carados obviously played very well to get to that stage.
How do you know? He could have got lucky.
He could have done, but I think to maintain it and still be there, he must be doing some things right.
Tight old table.
Yes, it is a little.
Oh, minimum raise, yuck.
Yeah, I don't like that with the ace jack Mo. You need those chips.
Stick it all in if you're going to bet.
Well, he's in fact maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe he wanted to make it look like a steal and hope that one of them come over the top.
No, but he'd rather steal it with 4.5 in the middle, and he's got 19.
Yeah, maybe he wants to double through though, Tom, because he was a bit short, wasn't he? Well, I think you're right actually. I know you have to think about it for a moment. Oh dear, that was horrible, horrible. Well, Mo done everything right there for me. I think.
Oh no, I hated his move.
I must admit, it's not one. When I say done everything right, I'm quite happy to go all in at that point.
Definitely go all in. And the moral is that although he was ahead, because he took it to a showdown, he got beaten. He wasn't miles ahead of King 10.
No.
King 10's out of there if he raises. I can't believe he...
Do you want to take a chance? If you can get someone to call an all-in bet, are you quite happy to take a chance with that hand?
No, every time I take the blinds.
You just take the blinds?
Yeah, I got 20,000, take 4.5. I mean, crazy not to. The only situation in which I'll actually try and get it is one we've discussed earlier, where I'm in early position with ace-jack, and I reckon if I bet, I'm probably going to get called by a better hand. And then I might try and trick someone. But there, he's got a good chance of taking the pot down because there's so few players behind him.
Yeah. You see, I would be more inclined to go for the double through and not win the 4.5 in that situation. Yeah, only because of the prize money. I mean, if you're having a look at the prize money, there are, what, 7 players left. 7th gets 94, 6th gets 126. There's not a lot of difference between 7th or 6th.
But that's got nothing to do with it. The prize money is the prize money. I mean, you've got to get there. But his chances of getting anywhere, the next prize spot, any of the prize spots are higher if he plays that conventional way, which is stopping taking it to a showdown.
Yeah, I think you're right in as much as he's got more chance of moving up a couple of spots on the ladder. I think, however, if he doubles through, he's got more chance of getting one of the top 2, 3 prizes.
He could double through now with slightly more chips. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? The fact of the matter is that if the play is better to avoid taking it to a showdown and pick up that big increase in stack size, if the play is better at that point in time, his chance of reaching any of the spots is higher.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree. If I was in that situation with ace-jack, I'll be pushing my chips in. There's no two ways about it. I wouldn't be making minimum raises or anything fancy. But I'm not totally upset if I get called.
No, I'm not. And he was ahead.
Yeah. I'm not upset if I get called by any hand, obviously a hand that I'm winning, even if it's a small win, because I do think that doubling through at that point will give me a much better chance of getting, with the blinds as they are in this particular stage, of getting one of the top 2 prizes, which are vastly...
I don't agree at all.
I think there's a lot of equity in those top prizes.
I think his chance of coming first is higher if he makes the correct move there, which is to take the chips. I mean, doubling through, anything can happen. He might be blinded away, he might double through on a higher level. I mean, if he gets knocked out because he goes all in, of course he's never going to take any of those prizes. I really think his chance of getting any particular prize spot is higher just if he plays it correctly, because there's so much to happen between now and him winning it that particular coup is just a drop in the whole ocean.
Yeah.
But he does need to be in to win it.
Yeah, well, my point is my point being is that the correct move is, I'm agreeing with you in as much that the correct move is definitely to go all in that situation. There's no way you should try and slow play a hand like that. It's just not worthy of slow playing. And with 4.5 being in the middle, it is nice to have that without any conflict. Personally, I don't mind being called.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing he could have done was to fold it. Second best would be to bet it and take it to a showdown with a worse hand, which is what happened, and the best to take the blinds.
Yeah. Or he could have just called.
Well, then that's a whole new... I mean, that puts a bit of poker into the equation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the guy, if he flat calls, I think the guy does the same thing anyway. With another 3 in the pot, he's now thinking, OK, I can nick this with 7,500 in the middle.
Yeah, a call's pretty awful generally there, because when you've got a big hand, you just give a chance to someone to have a look at the flop and get away from it if they don't catch.
Yeah. But that's all it takes sometimes, Tom, isn't it? It just takes one mistake like that, potentially, to knock you out. Yeah,
and I mean, although he lost 20,000 chips, on average there, he actually wins money. It's just on average he wins slightly more money.
Yeah.
If he plays it conventionally with a raise.
Well, an 8 is not to come. Would have made last bit of all-ins there a bit interesting, but was not to happen. Both had the same hand, they both split the pot. So Burrito is really struggling to find any kind of workable hand here. Will he make a move in this? And no, he doesn't. And yeah, he's not maintaining his chips at all, is he? Well, that's the problem. 8-3. Could he have folded for an extra 5? That's a good question. Probably not. He might have done with that hand he had, but most hands he would be calling with an extra 5,000.
Looking pretty healthy here against this opposition, and he might well get looked up by Spud, who knows he can bet with anything here. Spud getting excellent odds to call here. Was it 5,000 to win 12,000?
Yeah,
very tempting. Very tempting.
And he's got so many chips as well, Tom.
I'd call.
Drop in the ocean for him. Yeah. I'd probably call as well, yeah.
I'd call just on the pot odds, never mind the equity of knocking a player out.
Can you explain what you mean by equity of knocking a player out, just in case one or two viewers are...
Well, basically, if Spud knocks Burrito out, then there's no possibility that Spud can take 6th. But he's certainly guaranteed 5th. But if Burrito stays in, it's unlikely, but possible, that Spud will get involved in some pots with some other people and go out 6th himself. So just by having Burrito out, his average payout, Spuds must be higher, because the lowest payout, 6th, is no longer a possibility.
Yeah, so basically he moves up automatically to the next price level regardless.
And it's overemphasised that goal. You certainly shouldn't risk a lot of your chips to do that. And I think really, if you're even getting a slightly poor pod odds for your decision, only slightly poor odds, you should still fold rather than look for that equity. But here, the pot odds were very possibly in his favour anyway, and it doesn't hurt him.
Yeah, once he's getting something like two and a quarter to one, something like that, yeah. About 2.5 to 1, absolutely, not far off that. Five to 2, something along those lines. Once he's getting that kind of odds, that's definitely a call there.
But
not be doing it with anything.
Not a terrible fold. I mean, if Burrito comes back and knocks out Spud, then so be it, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe it suits Spud to have a short stack in there for some reason.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, I think?
Oh, the Sklansky theory, laying down queens.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see him do it.
I would like to see anyone brave enough to do it, absolutely. But it would be a fantastic play. Fantastic play. If I was playing, I'm sure if I was playing a lot on the circuit, it's something that I would eventually try.
And
But you'd have to have the
Burrito,
right situation for
he
that.
just knocked himself out there. It's daft. Carados bet 6,000, a mini raise, and Burrito with Queen 7 comes over the top. He knows he's going to take it to a showdown.
This is not on the flop, is it? This is pre-flop.
No, pre-flop, yeah.
Yeah.
He decides to make a stand, but he could have let that go. Very strange.
Yeah, well, he just felt that he had too much invested, perhaps. Well, look at this. He's ace-3 against ace-queen. Woe betide if a queen hits this flop.
Yeah.
Or an ace, for that matter.
Yeah, an ace will be problematic as well. Although Dead can conceivably read Spud for a straight if the ace comes, because he's in the big blind. Surely we're going to have some action here. Spud checks it. I think he's right too. He's giving Dead Spiders a chance to take this. However, Dead Spiders might want to check it now. He can get to the river cheaply and show a winner, and that's what he's done. He's sensed the possibility of a trap, and he says, well, there's only one card that you can improve on. Of course, that still remains the case that Dead Spiders can face a bet on the river, and he won't know if it's a bluff or not. So
Yeah.
he hasn't entirely got it cheaply to a showdown, and of course he's going to face the bet. Ah, lovely bet from Spud. Very nicely
He does
judged.
get called, yeah.
Yeah.
He would have made it all impossible for Dead Spiders to escape had a 5 appeared, pairing the board, making it 5s and 2s. But with the 8, there was a small conceivable chance he could still fold the ace-queen, thinking that maybe that 8 hit him. Well, look, Hoik, let's see a hand he likes. Let's see how he plays it, be interesting. Well, it puts in a minimum raise. Can't see how he's going to get called, Tom.
No. Nope.
You prefer that play, don't you?
Which?
The bet in that situation to try and get some money in pre-flop.
Oh, yeah. Always. Because I never limp on the button. I almost never limp on the button if it's been raised, if it's been folded round to me. In fact, I can't think of any situation where I limp on the button. I limp on the button if there are other limpers, but not when it's folded to me. So it screams aces if I do that.
It does scream aces, but are you actually going to... But I think I mentioned this same scenario last time to you. By limping on the button, the guy's got, I don't know, queen 6, and it comes queen high.
Yeah, but if
Is he going to still have the fortitude to put down that top pair?
Well, I'll get a bet out of him, but if you tip your hand, the game's up. You become the one who's exploited. I'm never going to do anything that significantly reveals my hand unless I need to get them out of the pot. So no. And of course, quite often I get a call or I get a raise.
Yeah. Yeah, tough one, that one. Tough one in that situation. Not sure what I would do in that situation.
And furthermore, with
I
what
might be
he's got,
swayed towards more trappy play.
he's got 10 big blinds. I mean, you know, a fold isn't the end of the world. He's picked up a reasonable percentage at no risk. Obviously, with aces, you obviously are looking to...
I think I might be tempted. I'd be more tempted towards, the more I think about it, and I wasn't forced into a decision quickly, I'd be more tempted towards a slow play.
A flat call.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking around, they've got similar chip stacks to me apart from one guy. Could go any way. I could end up in fourth quite easily here. And the aces is an opportunity, I think, too good an opportunity to let go and just pick up the blinds.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I love it if I pick them up in the big blind, then I just check it.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't tip them. And the small blind, I just complete. I mean,
But we saw it happen before, didn't we, with the guy who put a minimum raise in, and the guy goes over, and I think it was 666 who went over the top with his king 10. He's like, I'm just wondering that had the guy with the ace jack limped in that situation, I think he would have done the same thing, gone over the top with his king 10. So I don't know if it is tipping or not to certain players.
No, but it depends on these players. I personally don't limp on the button. So if I suddenly do it out of nowhere, people say, well, let's just check this one down and see what he's got. Oh, well, he's got aces. Now we know. So
But it's too late by that point.
The profile
It's
of my
almost
play.
over.
Yeah, but if they haven't seen me limp on the button ever, they're going to be a bit sniffy about it.
Yeah.
So it's just matching your play your aces so it blends in with something else that it could be. And this is one reason why I like the small raise, 2.5, 3 times the big blind with a range of weak hands. So I can put in the same size raise with aces.
Yeah.
And it's hidden. Oh, look, the blinds are double. We've got to choose a winner. I'm going for spud. You can have the field. I tell you what, I'll be generous. You can have the field.
I can have the field. Okay, I'll take the field. I think you've made a mistake there by giving me the field.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty confident myself.
Okay. You're pretty confident. Have you seen the results or something?
No, but an equal volume of chips bundled up in one person's stack is more powerful than the same amount split between 3.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm happy to take the field. I'll take the field. I think my fielders must be odds on to beat your guy.
And what makes you say that?
Well, 3 against 1. I think.
But it's chips, isn't it?
Well, chips doesn't matter.
Chips doesn't matter.
Squat against 3 players. Not to that extent. I think.
Can't believe you're saying that, Mark.
No, I am saying it.
You're saying that if I've got 99,000 chips and 3 players have got 33,000, that they're better off. There's better off because there's 3 of them.
Yes.
Because of the combined possibility that the one's a much better player.
No. Well, that's one reason. Plus the reason that you're having to fight 3 guys in effect.
You've got 3 times as much chips.
Still.
Chips is chips. People are just strategies for passing them back and forth. Having to have names and cars and wives.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think it's interesting. Actually, I'm going to ask a few people that question. I'd like to hear what their views are.
I think there's a case for saying that if you take 4 people, obviously of completely different skill, then basically it's a larger chance that the skilled player is going to be in the field of 3 than in the 1. But if they're not massively different in terms of skill, I think the advantage you get being the big stack and being able to make people fold, hoping to move up the ladder, gives you a huge edge. Because
can you make people fold though? That's the thing.
Well, again, sometimes you can't. But
they might be in a situation.
But Howick has got a reason to fold that Spud doesn't, which is that he is in grave danger of going out 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Spud isn't. Of course he can, but he's not in such danger. So he can put that pressure on them.
Well, things have changed now drastically. We've got a situation here where we're about to lose a player potentially. Well, we still could lose him if no. Get a lot of outs there. Club 5, not to be. So he's still in a lot of trouble. Only 1390 to his name. He's got to have a few double ups, and well, he's got another one through. He's still in desperate trouble. Hasn't even got a big blind.
Got the best hand though?
Yeah, he has. And he needs to double up again, and he's going to put it in. And they're probably going to just both call and see if one of them get him.
Yeah.
So he needs a 10 or a king or a 3 to come to beat him. Oh, that's the 3's out. 10 or a king. No, the ace has done it. He's doubled up again. And if you're wondering why the others got some chips back, it's because there was a small side pot. Wow, will he do it again? He's probably wondering, probably keen for. No, I think I've chanced my arm a little bit there.
I'd have gone.
Yeah,
Just
would have
handle the
been.
next one,
In
isn't it?
hindsight, would have been.
Suited queen. Well, in foresight, I'd done it.
I think he just thought, well, I've had three on the bounce, 4 on the bounce, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he must feel he can't chance it, but he's next hand. He's all in.
Yeah, he would have done it, wouldn't he? Would have won it.
We'll see. I mean, there's a chance how it will get knocked out. I suppose that's one reason to fold, but not a very strong one.
Yeah, look, he would have hit straight as well. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Queen 4 he had.
Because Harrick is now going to be hoping that Omen gets knocked out. So, yeah, I think Omen should have moved with the suited queen. And now he has to play with 6-7, unfortunately.
And interesting there. Carrados has said, well, I want to put this guy all in. And he'll just go over the top now. He's got to. I'm going to be interested if he just folded them those two against each other. The 2 big stacks. So he's
ahead.
He's ahead by a little way.
Lots
Not
of
by
outs
much, but
against him, though. Oh,
He's done it again.
He's done it again.
Incredible.
This is incredible.
It is. What a comeback. Imagine if he was to win this one. Coming back from 1,700 chips with a blind to 2-4.
Well, Howitt can't believe it. He's looking at 4th place himself now. He's picked up the aces. Got to get done with them. Oh, hello.
He's done what we were talking about.
I think that's a very unwise move with 16,000. I really do. There's 6,000 in the middle, and he's facing a possible 4th place.
I think it's a wise move, personally.
I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a wise move because he desperately needs to double up. He can't take the chance of one of them folding. If he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. He doesn't mind being up against all 3 players.
No, I'll take this. Especially here where Omen might go, I'll take the 6,000. He's
been outdrawn.
He's been done, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a choice of winning, what was it, 6,000 or 16,000. It's only a difference of 10,000.
That's a good point. 6,000, that is a good point. We're only talking about 10,000 variants. So, yeah, all the aces are back. Well, your man Spud isn't looking too healthy now, is he?
Well, he's biding his time, his nutters.
Oh, we could have 23,000 going Carrados's way here. He's going to need a bit of a miracle as 666 Omen to get out of this one.
Carrados is trying to get Spud in. Oh, shall I call? I'll call if you call. Go on, let's knock him out together. Hello.
Oh, is it a little bit? Oh, he's in trouble now and he's...
Aye.
Oh, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a bit brutal.
Wow. Omen has come from 1,700 chips with the blind to 2-4 to have 50,000 chips.
And aces officially are no good in this game.
They've been done twice, haven't they? It's incredible. I mean, what are the odds on aces beating ace-7 beating aces? 92%, something like that? Is it as high as that?
Something shocking.
Yeah, it's well over 80, I know that. It's probably about 88%, 87%, something like that. Let's see if I can find out.
Spud finally gets a bet in, and difficult situation here for Omen, and I have some sympathy for him there. He really only has the option of raising or folding. Call just delays a future decision. And 6 is, a bit iffy. Spud could have had either 2 big overcards he's going to call with, or of course the higher pocket pair. So Spud hanging on to his chip leads. Who's going to become the aggressor? Both players miss. I think Spud can bet here. He can represent part of that. And he found out cheaply that Carrados had nothing. $6,000 the pot. Spud's got 4s. He's facing a raise, and he comes in.
Yeah, I was right first time. 93%.
Looking for possibly implied odds, even in this 3-way pot. He's getting in fairly cheaply there. Well, now that's a difficult flop because he's not called his 4. Surprise, surprise. But he's got no reason to suppose Carrados has got any part of that. The trouble is that on the previous hand, he pushed Carrados off a flop that looked just like that, and perhaps he's worried now that Carrados won't put up with it again. I think a raise might come in here.
Yeah, well, he's certainly got to feel that his 4s are good here.
Yeah, there's a raise. Nicely played.
Yeah, I think I might have been preferred to be the one to come out betting. I don't know, in that situation.
It's because of the previous pot.
That's what I mean, because of the previous pot. Because he might be more tempted, Carados, to go re-raise him back again here, and then I couldn't call.
You want? What I'm saying is that because Spud pushed Carados off the previous pot, he doesn't want to do the same move. He thinks he'll do it a different way. Check raise him.
Right.
Ah.
Well, Omen, he's got the best hand this time. This time, will he win with the best hand? I mean, he's won with a few not best hands. Well, he's made a statement. He's saying, I'm not going away. And he's back up to 44,000.
11 big blinds. And probably going to get a walk here, I think. Unless Spud has just decided to make sure he's in at least 2 pots out of 3. And he can let that go. Yeah, I think Omen's read that quite nicely because he's only got 40,000. He's only got 10 big blinds. Spud probably isn't going to pussyfoot around with a big hand. He knows he hasn't got huge implied odds. And Omen correctly read that Spud wasn't trapping. He was just trying to have a cheap look at the flop. A bet here for sure. 12, 8. Making it cheap. Very cheap for Carados to come in. If they were suited, I think there might have been a call.
Well, this could be anyone's, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Although your man has regained that lead again.
But he doesn't have the bullying rights I was talking about earlier, really, now.
No.
He has to dent himself to punish any of these players.
Well, put in a raise there.
I quite like that raise because most aces are going to raise back, and Spud will know where he is, so he can read a call. The danger with the minimum bet, minimum raise, is that you don't really know where you are against your opponent. But in that situation, I think Omen is going to raise a lot of aces, and so Spud really, if he doesn't get raised, knows where he is.
Oh.
Aye, aye.
Well, he'll like that, but he won't like it as much as people think because he has, at the end of the day, only got a 7 high flush. And another spade appearing on that board won't make him that comfortable. So I don't mind the bet there. What do you think?
Yeah. What was the pot odds he was giving Carados?
Well, he just made a minimum, didn't he? 4, so 8,000, I think, was in the pot. So 4, 12, 4, 3 to 1.
Yeah, I quite like it. It might provoke a re-raise. Someone trying to protect against a draw to the flush.
Yeah, I think the bet was right. It's just unfortunate. It's just a nice hand, but not as nice. It's very vulnerable. Well, Carados will like his pair of 5s there. He's made a minimum raise. See if he can get to win this without too much of a contest. And he won't get any contest here, I don't think. Oh, look at this, Tom. Omer's gone all in, and he's got called. Gosh, he came back all the way, and now he's gone out with 5-2. Oh dear, that could have been a romantic situation for him. Coming back, 1,700 chips, he built it up to 50,000, went down a little bit, and made a steal with 5-2.
So if you're going to bet a 2, it's got to be a big one. 6-2, for example.
Unfortunate. Never mind, Omer. You made a good run, good comeback. Just would have been nice to see you hang in there a bit longer and go out with a better hand. And I'm sure he regrets that too now. Thinking back, did he really need to make a move of 5-2? He wasn't under any pressure. Carados hasn't been making that button move very often, so it's likely that he had a good hand.
Well, it takes $346 for his pains.
Yeah, I think it was more I think in that situation, it's more the pleasure of winning, isn't it? To when you come back from nothing like he did.
Mm.
It means a lot to come back. It's like a story you can tell for a long time, isn't it? I had 1,700 and the blinds were 2-4, and I managed to beat 3 other players. Well, he's not going to get those bragging rights, as he's now out. So we're down to 2, heads up. Lots of play here, Tom. They've got about, what, 15 times the big blind each, a bit more? Well, about set on average about 18 times the big blind. Was it about 200 in? Yeah, about 18, 20 times the big blind. Just short. Queen 4 against Queen 10.
Ooh, both of them catch the kicker.
Well, all we need now is a queen to appear, and that's good night, isn't it?
Yeah, and Carlos is thinking, well, even if he's got the 10, at least I've got a queen as a draw and a 4, so we've got 5 outs if I'm a long way behind, but how wrong he is, he's just got the 4s.
Now, Spud has said, now we know that Carados is likely to call this. He called with a pair of 5s a moment ago, so there is a good chance that he could call. He might figure him for the flush draw. Or a straight draw or something, and he decides to fold.
And also there's a pocket pair possibility.
Yeah, no, I don't blame the fold. The flow was excellent, but I'm just a bit concerned because he did call a big bet with the 5-2 earlier. I was a bit worried. Sorry, with a pair of 5s. So I was a bit worried that he might be in calling station mode. But he wasn't, so that's good. And figures his king is best. And Spud can't really call here with a 2-4. Need something a little better than that. 3-4 perhaps.
We're seeing some right old filth.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. It's we're seeing some really nasty hands, and Spud will, I'm sure, just throw this away. Doesn't need to get involved with 10-3. He's got plenty of chips, doesn't need to throw away 3,000 or potentially more on that rubbish hand. He's not desperate, he can pick his moments. He might feel this is a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Very sneaky. Now, Spud, well, he's lucky an 8 didn't appear. That would have... Now, he might feel that his king 8 might well be good here. So he's put out a bet and he's got called.
I think Spud's able to get away from this.
Yeah, that was an interesting play there, I thought, from Carados. In as much that... what was he trying to sell there? Maybe he just thought that the draw, if they had a 6 in his hand, maybe the draw was looking now scary, so he thought, OK, well, I don't want to take any more chances on giving you a free card just in case you have a diamond draw. So I suppose there was some measure of that. Bit of a hard story to tell.
Carados with the gut shot and the flush draw, and the possibility his opponent has nothing, or that's arrived.
Well, we've got a redraw here for Spud. He needs an ace, a 9, or a club to make him his better hand.
Oh, he's split it.
And Carados was a whisker away from having a massive double through there.
Yeah. Oh, well, at least it wasn't a club, Carados?
Wow, what a hand. 10-3 against 2-3. Carados doesn't know it, but he's in the lead. We'll bet this, and he should do. And I quite like the bet. 6,000. Very nice. So it hasn't got a particularly good draw on, so it's up and down, but it's not wonderful.
Suited cards worth 3,000. Yeah, he decides if he's going to play it, it's better to be the aggressor. I think he's going to get a reply.
Reply is a bit weak, isn't it?
It's difficult, isn't it,
He's
Mark?
either going to reply properly or just call.
But if Carados bets more, he's probably going to have to call the re-raise anyway, so it's tricky. I think he's expecting to get called, but wants to get information from the call.
Well, I mean, he's getting 5-1 here to call. But he's got nothing, so he can't.
And Carados, I think, found his way through that difficult situation very nicely, very deftly.
He did, yeah, absolutely. They've both been playing very well here. Really sort of, you almost feel them sort of feeling each other out, trying to see where the gaps are.
Unsuited, he calls, catches a 9, and he's a long way ahead now, and he's not going to fall behind. But I think Spud...
He's got a 3-card straight.
is not going to blow it all on even an up and down 3-card straight.
You say that, he decided he is.
Nah, he gets away from it now.
Wow, it's...
He's beat, he knows he's beat.
He's just thinking to himself now, what have I done?
Well, he must fold.
There you go, Tom, one mistake. Again, that was a big raise he tried there, didn't he? Bad timing.
Well,
unfortunate timing, really.
Yeah, I mean, at least he didn't go all in. I mean, given what Carados had, of course, he wasn't putting it down, but Spud must have sensed that there was a chance Carados was bluffing. And Spud found a bet that would push out a bluff, but he could get away from if he ran into a real hand. And he's in danger now, but he's still got a bit of play.
Yeah, and he's just lost another 12.
Yeah, now it's a bit more desperate.
Yeah,
So,
I think Carados is likely to keep pounding here, isn't he? I don't think he'll do it with 2-4, though. I think any kind of queen, king or ace, he's likely to come out trying to put the other guy all in to see if he can finish it off. And once again, he's not got much of a hand, and Spud won't like his either, but he's still having a go. I think Carados might let it go. No, he doesn't.
And full marks to Spud for trying to find a way of playing it for a flop, but with 6.5 big blinds, it's difficult to do that.
It is, yeah.
But he's ahead if only he doesn't get bluffed off it. There was danger there, Mark, because it looked like he was signalling, I'm prepared to put this down to a raise.
It did look that way, yeah.
And this is a good situation.
That's the funny thing about poker, isn't it, Tom? The same play can either look very strong or very weak.
Yeah, that's it. No, he's double through.
Well, it's back up there. He thought his king-8 was good. Decided to push it in and leave it in a lap of the gods.
See if Carados catches his breath. I think he might. Yet a suited jack is possibly strong enough to call here. He does.
Oh, well, he's in a bit of trouble, although he might get out with a split pot here.
I think Carados can get away from this by the next bet. Maybe not this one.
Yeah,
oh,
no, he doesn't like it. I don't blame him, yeah. Horrible looking board, that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Could be drawing dead to a straight already. Possible flush draw. Oh, look.
Well, let's see if he slow plays it, Mark. Oh.
He's not going to get the chance, is he? I think...
it's the only time aces have won.
Well, because he's been quite active, Spud, he might have decided he could get away with a called raise here. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult to do when you've only got passive players around you. But he feels that Carados is likely to have called a raise from him. Might as well put it in pre-flop. Well, this has been going backwards and forwards. Spud now has the lead. It's going to take one hand, Tom, I think, isn't it? It's going to take one big hand. They both hit top pair with decent kickers, and look at this, 6-7. 2 pair. Spud is trying to wangle something out of this. Well, he's not going to get a shilling, is he? No.
Yeah, it's a miserable business when you've got a call with a queen 4 because it might be good.
Yeah. Wonder what will happen if a 9 of diamonds comes here, Tom. This could be the hand. But you might want to take a move with. Let's have a look. Nope. Doesn't get that far. Carados doesn't want to chase his inside straight draw, and that's quite wise. With those, what he was being asked to pay was just that bit too much.
Just about big enough to put the pressure on, but Spud just calls and catches another 2 pair. Amazing.
Yeah, another 2 pair.
Against the gut shot, though.
Yeah, 7 will be nice for him. Plus, he's got one overcard, so he might decide to... He looks a lot better than it is, his hand, Carados. It seems to suggest that it's got lots of outs, but it's when you actually analyse it, it's really got not a lot going for it at all.
And not getting on to draw, so it's either a raise, semi-bluff or fold, and he goes for the fold.
Well, I think that's a wise move. Well, had he have called that 7, that would have been a double through for him. Spud wouldn't have put down his 2 pair. Sometimes you do need to try and catch these hands. Well, he's raised. He was going to get a call here from the 10-jack. I'm sure he's not letting it go. Well, we've got a pair of aces against an up and down. Tom, this could be the hand that doubles Carados through, or it could be the one that knocks him out. Let's see. I don't think he's going to put this down, is he?
No way.
He does. He's worried about the diamonds. Too many diamonds for his liking.
Ah, sorry, I thought you meant Carados. Yeah, good fold from Spud.
Yeah, he thought, well, I might hit my diamond and the other guy's wins by virtue of a flush. Oh. So that's a good fold, yeah. Well, doesn't want to see an ace on that board, the Spud. Well, he's made it cheap enough for him to think that he's milking him, isn't he?
Yeah, Spud's going to pay.
And he's not going to hit anything now, and we're back to pretty much level again. Just Spud's got a slight advantage.
I can sense Spud trying to find a way into this because he's let it slip away from him. I think we might see some moves coming. Here's one.
I think he's getting a bit frustrated.
I think
he can't just seem to finish this guy off.
Yeah, he's looking just to find the moves.
Well, this is a couple of decent hands that we've seen for a change. They've both got to feel frustrated. They haven't had much in the way of big cards, and this has seemed quite big to Spud, and Carados will think it's not a bad hand either. Well, here we go.
And he's going to call. Yeah, he knows he's got live cards.
Well, he's got a queen for a draw or a spade, and that doesn't arrive.
Yeah.
Pair of jacks not good enough.
I think that was brewing.
Well, that was, at the end of the day, it was just king high, wasn't it? That's, oh. If he had called there, he could have finished him off. Incredible.
Brunson.
He doesn't know that with a 10-8. Well, let's see if he might be frustrated here, and he might go over the top.
No, he knows he'll get called.
Yeah.
Well, we might never find out whether the field wins or Spud, because we're approaching the end of the show. That's too small, I think, for him to stake all his chips on. Oh, how wrong I am. Well, perhaps this is it then.
Yeah, looks like this could be the one.
That's it. Field takes it.
Well, Carados.
Yeah,
So what do I get as my prize?
Original chip leader. Your prize?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll shake your hand. Well done. Well, that's absolutely terrific. We enjoyed that massively. They gave us a lot of play there at the end. Not too much all-inning. A lot of people.
It's a great tournament, that, isn't it? With the 2,000 added and the 2,000 chips. It's a really nice tournament to play in. Yeah. I'm sure I'd have a little go once I'm not working on a Friday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
One of my pseudo names.
730 or something for winner. So well done, Carados.
Yeah, very nice indeed.
We've just got an email here we'll cover before we close the show up. Matt says, hi guys, great show. Just had to laugh at your surprise at ace being no good. It just happens to be one of the programme's favourite beats. I go out of tourneys regularly with them, 4 times this week already. I've tried slow play, all in, you name it, but I go out on a regular basis, usually to a bigger chip stack. Random? I don't think so. Disgruntled punter there. And finally, we've got a quick one from N. Clive. I don't think we've got time to do your email here, but N. Clive says, should he play for small stakes on a decent percentage, or should he move up the stakes and play for a smaller percentage? It's one of the great imponderables, isn't it?
Can't really answer that one.
Sorry, we don't know the answer. We haven't got time to ponder it in an interesting and entertaining way either.
Yeah, perhaps try the presenters on tomorrow's show, but earlier on in the evening.
Send the same email.
Yeah,
do that. I'm not. Yeah, we're not on tomorrow, so we're passing the buck, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know who is on tomorrow. Do we know?
I don't know, no.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be top quality presenters. It's not us, no. Top quality presenters. So do tune in tomorrow night, later tonight, for more Poker Night Live. Until then, see you later.